We're going to call our meeting to order. This is our regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors for Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. Okay. And we're going to start with a moment of silence. I want to offer a moment of silence for Roderick Rea of Lakeport, California, who passed away on April 30th, leaving behind a legacy of care, creativity, and community spirit. He was a proud graduate of Lower Lake High School's class of 1976. He went on to earn his degree from Cleveland Chiropractic College in 1982 and devoted many, many years to serving the Lakeport community as a compassionate chiropractor. Beyond his professional life, Roderick found great joy in the arts. He loved dancing and theater and shared that passion as both an actor and choreographer in numerous productions with the Lake County Theater Company. His contributions to the local arts scene were deeply appreciated, accumulating in his being named Mr. Lake County in 2015. He will be remembered for his vibrant presence, his dedication to helping others, and the joy he brought to the stage and those around him. Thank you. Thank you. Supervisor Crandall, would you lead us in the pledge? Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any extra items not listed on the agenda?
Chair, we do not.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the approval of our consent agenda, and I have information that we're going to be pulling items 5.2, 5.5, 5.7, and 5.11, and these will be for later discussion. Is there any members of the board that wishes to pull any other items? No? Anyone from the public that wishes us to pull any other items for later discussion? No hands online, none in the room, so I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as proposed with the exception of 5.2, 5.5, 5.8,
5.7.
5.7, and 5.11.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 5-0. Next, we're going to move on to our timed items, and we'll start with public input. Anybody in the room who wishes to provide public input this morning? Yes, Director Turner.
Thank you. Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. I just wanted to notify the board of a recent scam targeting the public members or applicants of planning projects at both the county and city of Lakeport. An email was sent to us by one of our applicants yesterday that was a very well-written letter, using AI obviously, asking for a wire transfer for an administrative fee prior to the Planning Commission hearing. So I just wanted to remind the public or notify the public that the community development departments of both the county and the city of Lakeport do not ask for wire transfers. This is a scam that people are targeting folks that are looking to get projects approved at the Planning Commission. And so the public can please be advised that we do not ask for wire transfers, and this is a scam. Thank you very much.
Thank you for providing that information. Was there anyone else in the room? Not seeing any. We'll go to online. Hillary, if you could state your name for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Hillary Mosier. I am the regional manager for the Golden State Manufactured Homeowners League. And I would like to start by saying good morning, but I would be lying. This is not a good morning because it is yet another Board of Supervisors meeting without the issue of a mobile home park fee moratorium on the agenda. I will not lie to you. It is not a good morning because at least 153 of your constituents continue to suffer from being financially bullied and intimidated as the unintended consequences of your decision to form an ad hoc committee for a rent stabilization ordinance. I won't lie. You caused this problem, and it's your responsibility to fix it by enacting a temporary fee increase moratorium retroactive to January. This corrective response is not unusual. Multiple communities, Sonoma, Santa Barbara, Fortuna, Windsor, and more, have done it as part of their sworn duty to preserve affordable housing. I have emailed you the documentation with details to verify this. I work across the state helping municipalities to do this, and yours is the first to display a total failure to take action against the exploitation of their most vulnerable citizens. The question is why? Bullies are actively preying on your voters while you look the other way. I'll tell you who is lying to you. Matt Davies of Harmony Homes and Bob Redwitz of Caritas both claim publicly to be dedicated to offering affordable housing. But all of us know by their actions of recent egregious fee increases that they are bold-faced liars. How many other park owners have come to you outside of public meetings to lie to you? Do they ever show you their annual incomes when telling you not to adopt a moratorium? Of course not. If they are truly suffering, your RSO allows them to file a fair return petition to prove it and find relief. Why aren't these park owners coming for public comment? Isn't it obvious? I strongly urge you on behalf of all mobile home park residents in Lake County to place this issue on the agenda as soon as possible. Please do not delay. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else online? Sterling, if you state your name for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Sterling. I just want to give a little recognition to Johanna. She does a lot of work, and I believe that she should be recognized. I appreciate all the hard work that she does for the community, adding this stuff last minute, and just being really informational. So I just want to make sure that she gets recognized, and here's the thank you from me at least. Thank you.
Aww.
Thank you. Donna, go ahead and state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Donna Makowitz, Redbud Audubon. I would like to raise awareness about an issue on Clear Lake that may deserve more attention during our spring nesting and fledgling season for our grebes and other water birds. Grebe nesting season is going strong in Lake County, and Redbud Audubon is actively monitoring grebe nests with students at Lower Lake High and Upper Lake High schools. Many of us who spend time on the lake have seen the fast-moving recreational vehicles and tournament bass boats pass directly through the groups of foraging grebes. For years, people often assumed that the birds simply dive safely underneath the boats and are unharmed. But recently, I received an important observation from Jim Steele, past supervisor and U.S. Fish and Wildlife scientist, who shared concerns based on his own experiences. Jim described observing dead baby grebes floating in areas shortly after the boats rushed through populations of grebes with chicks. He noted that adult grebes carry the babies on their backs, and when startled by the approaching fast boats, the adults dive suddenly, and the chicks can become separated in the turbulence, but most often the pressure wave created by the vessel kills them. What struck me most about Jim's thoughtful perspective is that California's anglers and sportsmen are historically the strongest defenders of wildlife conservation. So this is not about blaming boaters or tournament anglers. It's about awareness and stewardship. If we could just pass on the word, slow down or go around grebes, it could make a meaningful difference. As we continue promoting recreation and tourism on Clear Lake, I hope we can also continue promoting stewardship and coexisting with our remarkable birds and wildlife that make our lake so very special. Remember, slow down or go around grebes. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have anyone else? David, state your name for the record and you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you. My name is David Berry. I'm an associate manager with GSMOL, Golden State Manufactured Homeowners Association. I'm calling in from my home in a mobile home park down in Rohnert Park, which thankfully has a robust rent stabilization ordinance, as well as a mobile home rent appeals board, which operates under the city council. It's commendable that you're bringing rent stabilization to Lake County, which desperately needs it. But in doing so, you're opening the door to unintended consequences that are about to completely cancel out your good intentions. Park owners in Lake County are working to get out in front of your ordinance by increasing fees and space rents to amounts that will be catastrophic to their homeowners. I understand one park in Upper Lake is preparing to drop a $350 per month increase on its residents. Now, Social Security isn't going up. Wages aren't going up. And those fortunate enough to have pensions aren't seeing those go up. And what is going up, as you well know, are the costs of food, gas, and every basic living expense. The effects of these rent increases in reaction to your proposed RSO will be brutal to the homeowners in these parks and could put them out on your streets. Most of them are either seniors or low-income wage earners who currently can barely afford the gas to get them to their jobs or nutritious food to get them through their days. Please think of these people and the unintended consequences that they're going to face. Please do push ahead with rent stabilization, but at the same time, please push back against the unintended consequences resulting from the park owners jacking up rents and fees. Make a motion to enact a temporary rent increase moratorium retroactive to January while you finalize your RSO. It's been done by other municipal governments, and you guys could do it too. Please do so. Please do not delay any further. Thank you very much.
Thank you. iPhone 17. If you state your name for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Sky Lewa, Pillsbury Family Farms. Director Turner was hired on August 2022, and since then, this board and the public have repeatedly been told that the cannabis ordinance update is coming. And after years of delays, extensions, and continuance, it has become harder to call this development when the result is businesses and applicants being left in limbo while the county continues to kick a major policy decision further down the road. Yet here we are again. Another request to continue the item because your agenda today is considered too robust by pushing the discussion back to June 2nd of 2026. And it's no longer a scheduling problem anymore. It is a serious leadership problem. And when leadership continues to repeatedly fail to deliver while this board continues to tolerate it and defend it and reward it, those failures become the values that this board is choosing to stand behind. And as I stated on Tuesday, May 5th, 2026, the values that this board supports and stands behind is manipulation, deflection, selective enforcement, and public control. While this ordinance keeps getting delayed year after year, with the department over expenditure, the request of raised fees, and reducing more services, it does not show a sustainable government. And if supervisors have directed staff to complete this ordinance by certain timelines, and those timelines continue to collapse with no consequence, this board is showing the public exactly what level of failure they are comfortable with accepting. Meanwhile, the state of California already has a regulatory framework in place. At some point, the county needs to stop pretending that it can endlessly reinvent a whole new stricter cannabis regulation that makes it harder for equity licenses to want to come to Lake County, while people are failing to deliver the basic consistency that we deserve to operate under. Maybe it's time to consider accepting more of the state's framework instead of recreating an endless local bottleneck that never seems to end. And maybe it's time to consider an interim community director and allow senior staff to step up, because what we're seeing now isn't progress, it's stagnation. And the public is exhausted from watching this county kick the can down the road while asking us permit holders to absorb the consequences. And if this board continues refusing to correct the course, then yes, the public may need to seriously reconsider whether recall efforts against this entire board are warranted. Because leadership without accountability is exactly how counties continue to lose trust of the people that they are supposed to serve. Muleham.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chair?
Go ahead.
Can I just make a quick comment? Appreciate the public comment. Just wanted to make one correction that the request to continue was requested by the board.
Thank you. Maya, you'll have 3 minutes. Maya, are you there? Maya, you need to unmute. Okay, is there anyone else? What's that? Maya, can you state your name? You'll have 3 minutes. No. Okay, is there anyone else? Okay, Maya, last call. Are you able to speak?
Hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello? You got me?
Yeah, I do now.
Okay, great. My name is Maya Lynn, and I live in Sterling Shores Mobile Home Estates. I am speaking for myself and people who can't get out of their homes since we've started all this in January and trying to get support for our shelter. People have gone into nursing homes. People are putting their homes up for sale. We have the largest number of places for sale out here. A lot of people don't even want to buy out here because of the pass-through fees, and so that's deteriorating the cost. The value of our homes. We have sought your help, and you are supporting us and helping us, and we appreciate that. Every one of you, Jessica, Brad, you all have Helen. We know EJ and Bruno are working on this. You all have people in your communities that are affected just as we are. But as you're working on this RSO, we've asked you from the beginning to please put a moratorium on fees and pass-throughs. If you're not addressing the hit that we have already experienced at Sterling Shores for $480,000 for us to pay the park's capital expenses for potholes and fences. And they're going to have us pay for more potholes because, believe me, drive through our park and you'll see a really bad parking lot situation. Anyway, please, you have to make this retroactive to January 1st. We've already paid $60 a month for March, April, May. I just had to write the extra check yesterday. And it just is one of those things that just irks you. And mobile Meadow Point is going to be hit really big. And there are other ones out there too. I ask you, have you checked in your districts, Jessica and Brad and Helen? Have you checked to see who is affected in your district, to see who you can help? Have you reached out to your constituents to see how they are being affected by this? I asked the three of you because I talked to EJ and Bruno, and I know this is on the forefront of their mind. Is it on yours, or are you allowing it to just be on their shoulders? You have people out there that need your help, and we need your help, and we need a retroactive rent stabilization ordinance to January 1st to save your people from the extortion that we're experiencing now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No other hands? I'll go ahead and close public comment, and we'll move on to our next item, which is Pet of the Week.
Good morning. I'm Officer Plow with Lake County Animal Control, and today we have Rosie with us. Rosie has been with us since the beginning of April. She was brought in as a stray out of Lower Lake. She does have cherry eyes, but they will be fixed as soon as she is adopted. She'll also be spayed. She is very friendly, but likes to be dominant. So she does best around smaller dogs. She's very friendly, very mellow, as you guys could all tell. She is not loud, and she does shed a lot. So we're guessing she's American Bully Pit Bull mix, and she's ready for her new home. If you guys have any questions, feel free to come by to 4949 Hellbush Drive over here in Lakeport, or give us a call at 707-263-0278. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments about Pet of the Week? Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you, yes.
We're going to move on to our 6.3 item, 905 item, which is presentation of proclamation designating May 2026 as Community Action Month in Lake County. And Vice Chair Pyska will be handling this, and anybody here for this proclamation is welcome to come up with Vice Chair Pyska.
Board of Supervisors, County of Lake, State of California proclamation designating May 2026 as Community Action Month in Lake County. Whereas community action creates pathways to prosperity by helping hardworking families achieve economic independence rather than keeping them reliant on government assistance. And whereas community action is built on innovative, responsive, and efficient programs that are uniquely tailored to meet our local needs. And whereas community action delivers high impact, cost-effective results that generate a significant return on investment for local communities, and whereas community action invests in private sector job creation and career training, ensuring that communities grow through free market solutions, and whereas community action agencies are a trusted pillar of the community that engage volunteers who donate their time to advance local progress, support working families, and contribute to lasting success. And whereas community action programs are both necessary and popular, delivering effective, high-quality assistance that strengthens community resilience and fosters local prosperity. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Lake County Board of Supervisors does hereby designate May 2026 as Community Action Month in Lake County in recognition of the hard work and the dedication of North Coast Opportunities and community action agencies across the United States, passed and adopted this 12th day of May 2026 and signed by our Chair of the Board of Supervisors. Community action agencies were created under President Johnson to combat the war on poverty. And North Coast Opportunities is Lake County's community action agency along with Mendocino. So they support both counties and they provide services from the teeny tiny and Head Start and childcare all the way up through food distribution. We have our Build program partners here. We have our AmeriCorps, who is out, foster grandparents. The amount of programs that are overseen by NCO and our new CEO, Dan. Has it been a year yet? Yes. It has been a year. Okay. It's been a great year. So I just want everyone to understand how much NCO supports everybody in Lake County, from the teeny tiny all the way up. So I'm going to pass it over to Dan.
Thanks, Supervisor Pyska, Chair Rasmussen, rest Board of Supervisors. Community action is a very important part to our community, and it's been an interesting 18 months that I've been the new CEO for North Coast Opportunities. We understand that costs have gone up and poverty is increasing in our county. And some of the federal changes have really restricted some of the programs that we've been able to run, but we still have, our great Build program that we're working with the county on and some state partners, foster grandparents, our Head Start programs over here in Lake County, and some other great programs such as home hardening that we're continuing to fight to try to continue that work past November this year. Again, thank you for the proclamation, and we'll continue to work to alleviate poverty in these counties.
Any comments from board members?
Thank you for all the work that you guys do. There's probably more programs than I even know. It's right. It's a long list, but thank you.
Any members of the public wish to comment on this? And I also thank you for everything you guys do out in the community. It's good work. We appreciate it. And I think we'll get a picture now. And we're going to move on to our 6.4910 item, presentation of proclamation designating the month of May 2026 as Maternal Mental Health Awareness Month. Vice Chair Pyska will again handle this. Anyone here for this proclamation, please come up and join Vice Chair Pyska.
There we go. Board. Board of Supervisors, County of Lake, State of California proclamation designating the month of May 2026 as Maternal Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas pregnancy, childbirth, and the postpartum period are profound life transitions that can affect every aspect of a person's life, including their mental health. Maternal mental health struggles are among the most common complications of pregnancy and childbirth, yet they often go unrecognized and untreated due to stigma, lack of screening, and barriers to care. And whereas up to 1 in 5 women and 1 in 10 men will experience a perinatal mood or anxiety disorder, such as postpartum depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, or post-traumatic stress disorder, making these conditions the most common complication of pregnancy. And whereas untreated maternal mental health conditions can have long-term negative impacts on the birthing person, the infant, and the entire family, including disruptions to bonding, development, and family stability. And whereas stigma and cultural silence around mental health during pregnancy and postpartum prevent many individuals from seeking help, sometimes suffering in silence for months or years. And the struggles with mental health can affect any parent, regardless of age, race, or income levels. And whereas systemic disparities mean that Black, Indigenous, and other communities of color experience higher rates of maternal mental health conditions and face greater barriers to care, including discrimination, lack of access, and underdiagnosis. Whereas pregnancy and postpartum mood and anxiety disorders are highly treatable through awareness, early screening, timely intervention, and access to cultural responsive and trauma-informed mental health care, which can lead to full recovery and improved outcomes for individuals and families. And whereas the Lake County Behavioral Health Services supports maternal mental health through investment in programs like Motherwise, a community-based nonprofit that offers free in-person and virtual support groups, mental health screening, peer support, and a welcoming drop-in center where mothers can find connection, encouragement, needed supplies, and care without judgment. And whereas programs like Motherwise help reduce isolation, increase awareness of available resources, and create a sense of community for new and expecting mothers navigating the mental health challenges of pregnancy and postpartum. And whereas all birthing people deserve to be heard, believed, and supported in their mental health journeys, and a community that centers wellness for new and expecting parents builds a stronger foundation for future generations. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Lake County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as Maternal Mental Health Awareness Month in Lake County and calls upon all residents, healthcare providers, and community leaders to join in breaking the stigma, supporting families, and ensuring that maternal mental health is a priority in our collective efforts to build a healthier community. Passed and adopted this 12th day of May 2026, signed by the Chair of the Board of Supervisors. And so today we have so many of our partners that support young families in this transition of life that can be very tricky and complicated and overwhelming at times. And this is when we need our community the most. So I really want to thank all of you and all of your partnership for supporting young families.
Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Elise Jones, and I'm the Director of Lake County Behavioral Health Services. I'm also a mother, and it was challenging. I was one of the 1 in 5 that experienced some pretty significant mental health challenges. I already struggle. That's not a secret to anybody. And I got better. And I hope that everybody who's a mother had a great Mother's Day. Celebrate your moms. Check in with your new moms. They're probably not okay. They probably are tired. They could use somebody to fold their laundry, maybe. I don't know. So it's the little things. And I also want to shout out to Sabrina Andrus, who isn't able to be here today, but she, I believe, is the executive director of Motherwise, which is an incredible organization in Lake County. And I want to thank her for her efforts.
Good morning, Supervisors. I'm Tom Jordan. I'm a director on the Motherwise Board, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about that board or that program. It was founded as an idea that came out of the Maternal Child Adolescent Board of Directors, Board Advisory Board, which is advisory to your board. And that idea came out about 20 years ago. It was designed and established by the First Five Lake Commission when I was staff of that commission at that time. Since then, the vision has remained the same, as it says in the proclamation. Our vision is to ensure that no woman or father experiences a severe depressive anxiety disorder as a result of a perinatal or postpartum depression. And that vision remains the same. Our program has been a cooperative effort, as indicated by our Director of Behavioral Health Services here, is a key partner, along with Sutter Hospital, along with First Five Lake Commission, and along with Tribal Health. Those are key partners that today support the program and keep it going. And we hope and continue to have the continued support of your board in the years to come. Thank you.
Board members, thank you for being here today. Do we have any members of the public that wish to comment on this item? No? Then we're ready for a picture. We're going to move on to our 6.5915 item, presentation of proclamation designating the week of May 17th through 23, 2026 as National Public Works Week in Lake County, and Supervisor Crandall will handle this. Ask all of our Public Works staff to come up and join the supervisor.
All right, come on up.
There was hesitance. You were serious about that?
Maybe they didn't know, but they knew.
You guys want to keep sliding across the front right here? I have a feeling it's going to get a little packed.
Yeah, it shows
Welcome.
peace officer 6 points.
Yes. Or if you want to hide.
You scared me.
Yes, yes, yes.
No, sorry.
I understood you without knowing you.
Yeah, 100%, right?
Bring a couple up here.
Nice.
As you can see, they're slow to come up because they just like to do their work and not be, they're not used to being recognized, or they just are just hard workers and aren't concerned about that. But we want to honor them by reading this proclamation today for all the hard work they put into what they do for the county. So this proclamation is designating May 17th through 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week in Lake County, rooted in service, powered by community. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of residents, businesses, and visitors of Lake County. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems. Public buildings, recreation facilities, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Lake County to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest in understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities and services, as well as their planning, design, construction, and their operation and maintenance, are vitally dependent upon the efforts and skills of public works employees and officials. And whereas few government functions are as diverse, as challenging, as critically important to achievements, productivity, and the future of our county. And whereas numerous local agencies carry out these services, including federal, state, county, and city government, tribal nations, special districts, school districts, private companies, and others. And whereas the people of Lake County can well be proud of the contribution to its development provided by the dedicated employees working in the field of public works. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed, the Lake County Board of Supervisors do hereby proclaim May 17th through 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week in Lake County and urge all citizens to join with the American Public Works Association and government agencies to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. Passed and adopted this 12th day of May 2026, signed, Chair of the Board of Supervisors, Brad Rasmussen. Anybody want to say anything? All right.
I'm bringing up notes not because I have a lot to say, but because I don't want to forget anyone. So APWA, the American Public Works Association, establishes this. First off, I'm Lars Ewing. I have the privilege of working in the Public Works Department for Lake County, which includes the words Public Works, but it's a whole lot more than that department. So I invited, harassed people to come up here from a variety of different departments within the county alone. There's some folks in the audience that I'm going to pull up here because you didn't come up, but you're going to come up. So just, within the county government alone, we have, yes, the Public Works Department, but there's also Lake County Special Districts. You have Lake County Water Resources and county administration that is involved in one way, shape, or form with Public Works. And beyond that, goodness, cities of Clear Lake and Lakeport, state, we have Caltrans, you have state parks. I'm going to call out Caltrans because you're in the audience, so come on up. Associated with that, there's two. Yeah, Susan, thank you. City of Lakeport, we have representation up here. Federal side, National Forest, BLM, and this is just here in Lake County. Local school districts, tribal governments, water companies, transportation agencies that are affiliated with Caltrans, Lake Area Planning Council, Lake Transit, Resource Conservation District here in Lake County, and private sector contractors. I'm sure that I missed some organizations there, but it's critical. PG&E, right? That is critical. We have the essential services and infrastructure that we talk about: roads or streets or highways, bridges, airport, fleet, water systems, solid waste, flood control, buildings, parks, power, communication, and emergency response for all of those facilities. If power goes out, someone's responding. If you're going to call someone to repair it, someone is responding in the middle of the night. We have first responders in the back. These are first responders as well, and that's important to recognize that. So the people that are here are really who carry it out. We have field crews, operators, engineers, planners, technicians, mechanics, administrative support staff. So it's a time to recognize the hard work that they do, and I appreciate the board's recognition of that, but mostly I appreciate the staff that is here and the thousands of others that are here in Lake County doing work for Public Works. Within the Public Works Department alone, there's probably almost 100 people within that one department. So it really is not difficult to imagine the thousands of people working in Lake County that are involved with Public Works infrastructure and services. So I want to say thank you to all of you and those that are not here. So thank you very much.
Anyone else? Would you like to say something? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Jason Charmino with PG&E, and when Lars told me it was going to be the week for Public Works, I was kind of excited to come here because as a utility company, we exist to serve the people, and just like Public Works, just like the county government, we do a lot of that. And in my 2 years working with the County of Lake, we've had a great level of collaboration, of trust, of working together, Lars, you're right. We have a lot of people in blue trucks when bad things happen. They go out in the middle of the night. And I know when the water lines break in the middle of the night, you all are doing that. And the first responders are going out there. And it's nice to be here and just express my gratitude. And thank you all for the collaboration that we've had.
Everyone? All right. What do you want to say? No. Anybody from the board?
Board members? Supervisor Vice Chair Pyska.
Thank you, Director Ewing, for bringing all of these people together. You all are the best example of public servants. You really, truly are. You're out every day prioritizing public safety and infrastructure. And I just want to say thank you, and I'm glad you're here today, and I'm glad we can celebrate you.
Thank you. Supervisor Owen.
Thank you for coming today, and I really appreciate that we get the opportunity to tell you how much you're appreciated. You're very much appreciated. You are our heroes. You are the people that keep this world turning for all of us, and I just can't tell you how much we appreciate you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any members of the public? And with that, I think, can you get a picture, Trevor? Give it to Bob. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Hey,
Jeff.
good to see you. Thanks for coming up. Thank you. Thank you, Lars. Yeah.
Thank you.
You gotta get them out here.
Thanks for bringing them, Lars.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Missed Ignacio. I saw him, but he snuck around. You scared me. If you brought everybody you listed, we need a bigger room.
Now we're going to move on to our 6.6 item, 920 item, presentation of proclamation designating May 15th, 2026 as California Peace Officers Memorial Day and May 10th through 16th, 2026 as National Police Week in Lake County. We'll ask all of our sheriff and peace officers to come up and join me.
Good morning. How are you? Go.
This is the Board of Supervisors, County of Lake, State of California proclamation designating May 15th, 2026 as National Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week of May 10th through 16th, 2026 as National Police Week in Lake County. Whereas all of the promises America offers, none is more precious or more elusive than the right to be free from crime and violence. And whereas the dedicated men and women who have chosen law enforcement as a career face extraordinary risk and danger in preserving our freedom and security. And whereas during the week of May 10th through 16th, 2026, National Police Week is observed throughout the nation to recognize the hazardous work, serious responsibilities, and our strong commitment to our nation's peace officers. And whereas in conjunction with that important observance, May 15th will be recognized as National Peace Officers Memorial Day in commemoration with those noble officers who have tragically sacrificed their lives in the line of duty. And whereas these special observances provide all Californians with the opportunity to appreciate the heroic men and women who have dedicated their lives to preserving public safety. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Lake County Board of Supervisors formally designates May 15, 2026 as National Peace Officers Memorial Day in Lake County, and the week of May 10th through 16th, 2026 as National Police Week in Lake County, and encourages all citizens to remember those individuals who gave their lives for our safety and express appreciation for those who continue to dedicate themselves to making California and Lake County a safer place to live. Passed and adopted this 12th day of May, 2026 by our Board of Supervisors. Thank you. And we'll turn it over to the sheriff for a couple minutes.
Thank you to the board for the proclamation and bringing this. I just want to remind everybody in the community, as the proclamation said, this week is National Peace Officers Week, and on Friday the 15th, all of the names of the peace officers who died in the line of duty throughout the United States will be placed on the wall at the National Memorial. We will also be holding a local Lake County remembrance for our first responders on Friday, May 15th at 5:30 at Library Park, where we will remember Museum Park, thank you, where we will remember all of those Lake County first responders, both fire and law enforcement, that gave the ultimate sacrifice for our community. With that, I'd just like to say, as I've always said, it's kind of my mantra, on average, if you look at it, a general citizen of the community experiences approximately 4 critical incidents in their lifetime. Law enforcement, on average, all of these gentlemen behind you and the ladies in law enforcement, women in law enforcement, in their careers experience 600 to 800 critical incidents in their entire career. That takes a toll on law enforcement. It takes a toll on the mental health. We strive very hard for mental health for our employees to make sure they're taken care of very well. But one of the things that I'd love to ask the community, and I almost beg the community, is when you see a law enforcement officer, please just thank them for their service to our community. You have no idea what they experienced that day, and just that simple thank you in a grocery store of thank you for your service, thank you for what you do, can change their entire day and their entire outlook on that day, depending on what they dealt with that day. I know personally, I've dealt with things in my career, and I went in to get a coffee and somebody just said thank you, and it just changed my day. It really changed my day. So I encourage you to do that. Please come out on Friday and join us for our memorial and remember those that sacrificed for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Board members?
I do. Thank you. Thank you all. It is a really difficult job, and I know it takes a toll not just on you, but your families. And you're here for us, you're here for our communities, and I have so much deep appreciation for you. I also, on one of my trips to Washington, D.C. recently, stopped by the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial, and I don't know if anyone here has been there, but it is a very somber and beautiful tribute, and the lives of those lost here in Lake County are there. And it's a beautiful place to stop. If you've ever been there, please make a visit someday and join us on Friday.
Thank you. Any other board members? And I'll just say lastly, I mean, everything starts with safety. Lake County wouldn't be what it is without a safe county. So really appreciate you guys' work. And any public comments?
Hello, Elise Jones, Director of Lake County Behavioral Health Services, and I just want to also express my gratitude to all law enforcement in Lake County. you are always there for us when we need you. And we appreciate the partnership and the collaboration as we're trying to maintain safety in the community together. And I just am so grateful that we have such strong leadership and such a strong law enforcement culture, I would say, in Lake County that's really dedicated to the people and to making sure that we're all safe. So just thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Brad, I did have
Yeah.
something, sorry. I just wanted to highlight also the work that you all do with the tribes as well. There's been a lot of collaboration recently. I've also noticed you guys a lot on the Highway 20 this whole week. I don't know if it's the week, but everyone's been making comments like, they're out, who are they looking for, or whatever, but just letting you know. But again, there's been a lot more collaboration I've noticed, and even the tribal leaders are coming to me and expressing that they appreciate it, so.
All right, I think we're ready for a picture.
Beard, I don't have just a mustache.
Bro, they can't see you, they said.
Thank you. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Back, because he's got a safe voting proclamation.
Okay, good.
I don't know how this thing survives the manipulation.
Next, we're going to move on to our 6.7925 item, which is presentation of a proclamation designating the week of May 16th through 2022, May 16th through 22nd, 2026 as National Safe Boating Week in Lake County. Supervisor Sabatier will handle this, and I see our Coast Guard Auxiliary coming up to join him. And our Sheriff's Marine Patrol. Thank you.
Welcome back. So I know that this proclamation is about safe boating, but I want to say that, and it speaks to it in here. From time to time, I ask the sheriff for a list of our deaths that have occurred just to get an understanding of what our statistics look like, if we're doing better. Last year was not a good year for drowning. I believe at least 3 different bodies of water, and we had 9 drownings between January and October. And so I think that this proclamation is important, especially as we have full lakes, understanding how to behave on a vehicle on the water and how to behave when you're recreating in the water is important, and just appreciate the proclamation. Proclamation designating the week of May 16th to 22nd, 2026 as National Safe Boating Week in Lake County. Whereas National Safe Boating Week is observed to bring attention to important life-saving information for recreational boaters so that they can have a safer, more enjoyable experience out on the water throughout the year. And whereas U.S. Coast Guard reported the fewest boating fatalities since data collection began over 50 years ago. However, non-fatal injuries have increased with alcohol as the lead contributing factor. And whereas U.S. Coast Guard statistics show that drowning was the reported cause of death in 3 out of every 4 recreational boating fatalities, and that approximately 87% of those who drowned were not wearing life jackets. And whereas Flotilla 0808 of Lake County has continued to provide free life jackets to youngsters by participating in community activities which promote child safety and educating the boating public in safe boating practices, and sometimes can be found at our public ramps. Whereas the flotilla will continue its efforts to educate the boating public by resuming safety patrols, free vessel safety checks, and to encourage boaters to practice safe boating habits and to wear life jackets. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Lake County Board of Supervisors does hereby designate the week of May 16th to 22nd, 2026 as National Safe Boating Week in Lake County and urges all users of Clear Lake, Lake Pillsbury, Blue Lakes, and Indian Valley Reservoir to safeguard their lives by wearing life jackets when boating, exercising safe boating practices, and boating responsibly. Passed and adopted this 12th day of May and signed by our Chair of the Board of Supervisors.
Hi, I'm Heather Witchlass, and I'm the Vice Flotilla Commander and the Public Affairs Officer of our local Flotilla 88. I want to thank the Canocti Service Women's Club for their donations. They fund almost all of our life jackets, and I'd like to remind everybody to watch for us at public events like health and safety fairs. And our first giveaway this summer will be May 23rd at Hardisters in Hidden Valley Lake at 10 a.m. We're going to hopefully go until about 1 p.m., but we will be there until we run out of life jackets. So it's for children under 12 years old and 30 to 90 pounds, and you must have a parent with you because we're going to properly fit you and instruct the parents on how to make sure the life jacket fits their child. And thank you so much.
Boat safely. Know the rules and don't drink and boat. That's one of the biggest things. A lot of people we see a lot, and Walter's my sergeant in charge of our boating enforcement unit. And he can tell you this, a lot of people go out and it's not just your powered boats, it's your kayaks, it's your paddle boards. There's rules, safety considerations with those, wear your life vests. All those things are responsible. It's going to save you out there if you have an incident. Our lake, Clear Lake, can go from perfectly glass clear to the wind comes up and all of a sudden we have 3-foot whitecaps out there and get very dangerous. So be cognizant of what you're doing and boat safely.
Wear your life jacket.
Want to say anything?
Just wear your life jacket.
Thank you. Any comments from board members? Thank you for all the work you're doing out there for promoting safety on the lake. It's very important, so we appreciate it. Any members of the public wish to comment? No. Not seeing any, then I think we're ready for a picture. We're going to call a quick 5-minute break. All right, I'm going to call our meeting back to order, and we're going to handle our 6.8 item, 9:45 item, public hearing that was continued from April 28th and May 5th, 2026 for consideration of a resolution amending the master fee schedule for departmental services rendered by the county. And I'll turn it over to our Deputy CAO, Casey Moreno.
Good morning. Thank you. So thank you for allowing the continuance and to hear this today. I am going to go over the same thing that I went over last time, just as a refresher. So this is amending Chapter 2, Article 28 of the Lake County Code of Ordinances, which allows for the review and update of the master fee schedule at reasonable and timely intervals. Before you today are updates to the master fee schedule adjusted by CPI, or Consumer Price Index, cost studies, and state, federal mandated laws. The CPI is calculated using the Department of Labor's Consumer Price Index for all urban customers in San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose metropolitan area. This year, the CPI is 2.48%. The changes presented today include agriculture, animal control, assessor recorder, auditor controller, behavioral health, building safety, code, planning, public services, which is now being moved into public works, sheriff, and water resources. Additionally, since this was last heard in April, I've added on environmental health and additionally one line on public health, which was the TB test, skin test, that was approved back in the fall and just was not included in the update. Also, I'd like to just read a couple sentences from the GFOA, Government Finance Officers Association Best Practices regarding user fee policies, which states, governments rely on user fees for many different reasons and to fund a wide variety of services. Some user fees may be established to recover costs for a particular service, while others may target market competitive rate or be used to incentivize or discourage behaviors. GFOA defines user fees as fees that are charged in exchange for providing a service. Examples include utility fees, development fees, zoning fees, building permit fees, transient fees, and parks and recreation program fees. User fees are different from business licenses or taxes, where they are not directly related to a service that is provided. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from board members at this point?
No, I just want to make a comment.
Go ahead.
I had not supported this the last time it was before us in April. And since then I have spoke with Casey, and the bigger issues that I had were the big jumps, and unfortunately those have been set forth before us by the state. And so it wasn't like we had a choice in that. So I'm going to support it.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, I just want to follow up with our last conversation. I believe there was board consensus to having a deep dive review. Is there any further information that you have for us as to when that might happen, what the process might be?
When is a good question. Right now we're knee deep in, actually we're drowning in budgets. So it will be after recommended budget. How soon after, I'm not sure, but it will be sometime this calendar year.
My question is, I think I brought this up last time. So if this all goes through today, we're still going to be taking a look with a consultant at the planning department. So
Absolutely.
we are going to review those fees. So it's possibility that something could come back to us for review after
Correct.
that matter is handled.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other board member questions at this point before we open it to the public?
I have one, and I know we're going to be addressing the cannabis, but with us having the 50% discount on that, I wondered why we didn't look at changing those fees to bringing them back to what was voted on by the public.
So I believe the 50% reduction is on the taxes that we collect based on the cultivation. But the fee is the permit, the application fee. So they are separate.
Okay, so it just wasn't listed because we're not dealing with that right now.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, not seeing any other board questions, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public. We'll start in the room. Is there anyone in the room that wishes to comment on this item? Not seeing any. Do we have anyone online, Johanna? No hands, so I'll go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the board for anything final or proposed action.
I offer the resolution.
Resolution's been offered.
Supervisor Owen?
Aye.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall?
Yes.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yes.
And Supervisor Rasmussen?
Aye. And that carries 5-0. So we'll go ahead and close that item. Thank you, Casey. And we'll move on to our 6.9, 10 a.m. item.
Thank you, Casey.
This is consideration of the inaugural County of Lake Capital Improvement Plan CIP for fiscal years 2025-26 through 2029-2030. And this will be handled by our administrative office. And I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Rickelman, for presentation.
Yes. Good morning, Board. Ben Rickelman, Deputy County Administrative Officer with the county. As the chair stated, this is the county's inaugural capital improvement plan. This is a budgeting mechanism a lot of local governments use as both a strategic planning mechanism to think through what their priorities are for capital projects, and then also for some, it's a financial document. So how the County of Lake budgets, it just does it fiscal year by fiscal year. So the only projects guaranteed in this CIP are the projects for FY 25-26. The budget the board has already approved through the annual budgeting process. There is one exception to that, and that is the Armory project that uses debt financing, the county's first bond issuance, and some federal appropriations. But as this is the county's inaugural CIP, we took an expansive approach for possible projects. We understand there isn't the fiscal capacity to do all these projects, but we want to provide both the Board of Supervisors and the public kind of the realistic universe of what those projects could be. So the three departments that participated in this process is Public Works, Special Districts, and Water Resources. And then we organized the CIP into functional area, which overlaps those departments a good amount, but there is some differentiation. So those are facilities, utilities, and transportation. So there's 216 projects listed in the CIP. The time frame is for 5 fiscal years, so it goes through FY 29-30. There's around 261 million listed, so that number isn't necessarily the project amount. It is what it would be if it was in this time frame of the CIP. So a lot of the projects do overlap that time period, but some don't. So facilities is a pretty wide category. So I provided this breakdown by fiscal year and then these subcategories. And for facilities for the entire CIP timeframe, it's around 87 million. There's a lot of great work that's occurring in the county currently and planned in the near future. So if you look through the CIP document, we do have individual project sheets for each project listed. So it gives the fiscal breakdown and a brief description of the project and its location. So I think that could be a great resource. And the project sheets are hyperlinked in the document to the project listing title. Transportation, 3 subcategories: roads, bridges and airport. This is under Public Works, and there's about $127 million of projects listed. Again, a lot of the great work the county's doing. Recommend, if you're interested more looking through this, it's impressive. Utilities, so this is special districts, water, sewer, and lighting districts, approximately 47 million. So the individual districts and special districts, those fees fund the projects within that particular district. Special districts is actively engaged in getting outside funding too, because as we all know, there's a lot of need in the county. And you can kind of see in the later end of the CIP for utilities, some of these larger projects that would be dependent on outside funding. But special districts is aware and hoping to make them a reality. And then last but not least, water resources. So water resources listed projects they actually do have grant funding for, so they approach it a little differently. But they listed 3 projects: Middle Creek, Kelsey Creek detention structure, and then remediation work with Clear Lake. And then this is the geographic breakdown by supervisor district. And then the columns is the functional area. And just with District 4, which we're in currently, there's a lot of county facilities here. And then also you have the Armory project in South Main, Soda Bay, road projects and utility projects. So that's what's driving that larger number. That concludes my presentation. We also have the directors of public work and special districts here too to answer questions.
Do any board members have questions for Mr. Rickerman? Go ahead, Supervisor Crandall.
Is this also considering like channel work, the Middle Creek, Clover Creek, those types of things in different channels? I mean,
I believe so. I'll follow up with
water resources.
yeah,
would
water
be here too.
resources. The director's out of the country at the moment, but I will follow up with him.
It is in there. It talks about mitigation of phosphorus in the lake, which would be work on our creeks and
We could tie it to
channels,
that,
and
yeah.
talks about Middle Creek restoration in there as well. So, yeah.
I'm just considering the channels with vegetation and whatnot, but I think that what you just mentioned kind of fits that.
I'm thinking it's all bulked together.
Go ahead.
Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, I appreciate that we're here. This is kind of an infrastructure strategic plan rather than just a global strategic plan. So I appreciate that, and it really helps out with future budgeting and anticipation of what funding we need to find in order to do these things rather than let our facilities deteriorate. I know that I may be alone on this, I don't know, but I know we can look at our pavement management program or plan, whatever PMP stands for. It gets done every 3 years. It gives us a score for our road. I think that those types of things should be attached to this, because rather than getting a myopic view of here's just the highlighted things that we're planning to work on, it gives us the full breadth of all of the roads and understanding why these specific roads were chosen or these specific buildings. I know we did a building assessment a while ago. Getting a score on what our building assessment is makes us help support, have support documentation as to why those buildings are being prioritized when it's brought to us, rather than providing us the full picture. I think helps us in understanding why they're being chosen, or at least allows us to speak on why aren't we working on this? This one really looks like it needs help. It's on the bottom of the list, but it's not on our priority list for the next 5 years. So I think that that would be great. And I don't believe that I've seen an assessment score for our water districts or our sewer districts. I know it's things that are being worked on. And if there's a way to bring that as well, it would help to understand why it is that we're focusing on those specific things and not other things. So I'm looking for like supportive documentation, because to me, what we're seeing, even though it's 216 different projects, there's still probably 600, 800, or 1,000 different things that we can be doing. How did we end up choosing this for the next 5 years? It is a good thing for us to look at. I do have concerns in today's process, in the sense that we are wearing two hats without wearing two hats. We're here as the Board of Supervisors, and we're approving capital improvement plan for Lake Coast Sand. So I think we need to segregate, sorry, let me rephrase that. I was told not to use that word. Separate the Lake Coast Sand plan into its own side plan, and not a broad scope Board of Supervisor plan, because those funds come directly from the revenues generated through each individual district, which is part of Lake Coast Sand and not part of the Board of Supervisors. So I'd like to see that split. I think that would be an appropriate thing for us to do. Also, I do have concerns, and apologize for highlighting it, but in my district, it's a very important matter, that in all of the infrastructure stuff coming from special districts, it drops off. So yes, we have $2 million potentially spent on capital improvement next year. Again, there's no promises. It's what's anticipated, hoping that the funding is available. 27-28 is $311,000 for the entirety of all systems, water, lighting, sewer, everything else for 27-28. $152,000 in 28-29, and then $39 million, and I'm adjusting up, it's $38.3 million in 29-30. And when I'm looking at the roads, when I'm looking at the buildings, it's a lot more separated with a year to year, with hopes and desires, right? It's a budget of sorts. It's an estimate of when things will get accomplished. I just don't think that 29-30 is the appropriate place for 90% of the potential capital improvements on systems that we know need to be improved today. And so I would like to ask for a separation of Lake Coast Sand away from the rest. That's the Board of Supervisors, and a readjustment of really planning out on how to, I'm seeing things that are very concerning, such as $1.6 million in 29-30, which is for the, pipe replacement, and there's none of that prior to that. And so I would like to see that redone. I know it was done in December. Things happened after December. I would like to see a revision of this, because that doesn't seem right to me. And then there's also some other fundings that I know we're asking for. Again, these are just estimates, hopes, and desires, but I know we've had some private conversations with some of our state and federal representatives, and I don't see those asks necessarily on here, or at least to that degree of that amount. And then for the roads, I'm concerned as to which roads are prioritized earlier than later, because again, the pavement index is in my mind, in knowing, since I've asked in the past which areas have the worst PCI, pavement condition index, and I'm not seeing that being done in that order. And I'm also concerned about, and I know it's an easy fix, but it's a concern that our plan is chip seal for the next 5 years. And I hope that we have ways to figure out how we can go to doing real asphalt rather than chip seal only for the next 5 years. in our communities that really have bad roads and deserve a much better polish than just a double chip seal. And I know, again, it's probably because that's the more economical way to get things accomplished rather than not getting much accomplished. But I'm looking at what we've done in the past, and just in the last year, we accepted to do almost $6 million worth of work in one community, and we're asking to do $1.5 million worth of work in other separate communities, not just one community. And we got to figure out a way to treat the communities with better equity than that. And so just wanted to highlight that those are some of my major concerns. But I do appreciate that we have this. I think that moving forward today is the obvious. We have to be able to start planning our budget within this content or this context. But my request, a separation of Lake Hosan, a readjustment on what is anticipated to be done by Lake Hosan, because I'm very concerned about those small amounts in the middle when we know that there's some issues we need to deal with. And also, I'd like a deeper dive conversation about why what appears to be high priorities seem to be kind of last. High priorities in my mind.
Okay, Supervisor Crandall?
Yes, the PCI was mentioned, and I wanted to just highlight that because we have, 34, I think, is our PCI through countywide. So the average kind of gives us, and I think we did a couple of studies, we did do a couple of studies before, a 5-year, 10-year. And in those, we constantly look at the overall picture of PCI. But I think we need to do a deeper dive because it's not only the by district, because when you look at it by district, different districts are lower than the others. But it's also another thing to consider that because of our resources, we look at the most traveled. So that's a fully understanding thing because right now we are triaging our road situation. So most traveled is very important. But I think it's imperative to consider by district the PCI code because the way it's been working, I mean, there's specific communities that haven't been done for 20 plus years. So, and even if it's not just in my district, it's other districts, I want them to be tended to as well. But I think the most equitable way is to look at the PCI code in that specific area. So if we can do that. And then also when we consider bridges, I think it's imperative to think about secondary routes in any community. So I think if that's not already thought of or put in place, I just wanted to make sure that we highly consider those measures when it comes to these things. That's it.
Thank you. Supervisor Owen?
Oh, I think Ben wanted to say
Or
something.
do you want to?
So those are all great comments. I would leave it to the departments to speak on project prioritization and how they're doing that. But your earlier comments regarding the PCI and how that can be incorporated. So there's going to be a new CIP every year. And so the projects will be updated. And for the next CIP, we'll have a more robust integration of existing plans. So I know the departments took into consideration like the PCI and those reports, but putting it in the front end of the document, explaining the connection and how these existing plans connect to project prioritization, that will be in future CIPs.
Thank you. Supervisor Owen?
Okay. Well, thank you for the work. This looked great. It was pretty amazing. I felt a little kind of gypped a little bit in the essence that I only had 12% of the budget budgeted for District 1. I had spoke with Mr. Hewing yesterday about some projects that were not listed, and it looks like those will be listed coming up, some projects in District 1 particularly. I really want to thank you for bringing the museum in Lower Lake and putting that on the list. That's hugely important, and the roof of the museum, so that was amazing. Water resources, one of the things I did not see in water resources that I've been working with Pawan on is the levee in Hidden Valley. The Pewter Creek levee, that I'm afraid if that doesn't get attention, I don't know if that should have been on this list, But that levee does need some attention before we have a disaster. So I think that's hugely important. I think that's about it for me. Let me look real quick. Nope, we're good. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, or I'll ask the directors if they wish to comment? Director Bore?
Good morning, board and staff. And I'd like to first by thanking Ben for all of his hard work of consolidating all of our different plans. We've been working on this plan for quite some time, been through a consultant or two, and have come up with what I think is a really great beginning to this plan. I would like to address some of Supervisor Sabatier's comments about how we prioritized our projects. So as you know, special districts, we're all ratepayer funded unless we get other outside funding. So when I've been doing CIPs for the last 30 years in very large cities, very small cities. So I bring probably a little different perspective to how this is done. And so the first year, 25-26, was already allocated in the current fiscal year budget. And so that is real money for real projects, real design, that kind of stuff. The other years, I balanced our budget based on our ratepayers, our Prop 218 studies, our anticipated revenues. That's why you see a huge drop-off, especially in the southeast area. Until the rate study is passed and we actually can secure funding, that's a huge hindrance to being able to get future grant funding. We also had several projects listed in here to get designed that were a little bit derailed by last week's actions by the city of Clear Lake. So the 2 lift stations and the headworks that we've been working on securing both federal and state funding are in severe jeopardy of not getting the $5 million that they're proposing to submit for us. Congressman Thompson submitted a $3 million earmark, and it was tied to the 2 lift stations as well as the headwork project. And with us not being able to secure the property that was previously approved in 2025, that makes it so we can't move forward with those projects in a timely manner. I wanted everybody to know that those projects are in jeopardy. The Highlands Way pump station, it's not technically a lift station, it's a capacity increasing pump station for the primarily Konocti Gardens that has capacity implications to the pipe in Alvita. And since the road was overlaid and there's a 5-year moratorium, this was our solution to prevent surcharges throughout that section of the area. So in heavy rains or when there's heavy surcharge to the system, it would be diverted into a holding tank and then metered when the flows go down. So that project is 100% designed, but now on the shelf, risking funding. So that's how we prioritized our different projects. I have a 5-year plan, and every year that's updated. So you'll see in that when the new 26-27 projects come forward, there may be some added. If we get funding from outside agencies, like Jessica, there's a $20 million consolidation project listed in your district, but it's in the out year because it's an unfunded project. However, we are seeking funding for that. My guess is probably more than $20 million, but we put those projects into the plan so that then we can check the box on grant applications saying, yes, it's in a countywide approved plan. So that's kind of the strategy of why we prioritize the things the way we do. And as we get more and more into this and our superintendents dig deeper into our infrastructure and we prioritize where repairs are, we get more of our capacity studies done, we'll actually be able to identify more priority-based projects versus where we have critical infrastructure failures.
Supervisor Pyska.
So I'm glad you brought that up because we've been saying for a long time, if we don't have it in the plan, it's more difficult to get funding. So and I, hate to put you on the spot to spitball this, but how do you envision the success of future applications once we get through feasibility applications for actual implementation applications, once we have these in our plan, even though we may not be able to get it done, implement it in that year, but we're planning on it. So how does that lead to our success?
So there's two pieces to water and wastewater infrastructure funding. One is having a current rate study, and two is having it in one or more plans. So some of our infrastructure projects are also in the disaster plans. So we're able to point to that and say that that's, it's a critical infrastructure for disasters. Having it in the CIP is also another checkbox of saying that, yes, this is our long-term plan. Being able to check off, because part of the application process usually goes through the State Revolving Loan Fund. That's usually their application process for all funds, including earmarks. They'll be fed through that as well. And there's a whole budgetary section in there that without a current rate study, depending on which grant fund it is, it may disqualify the project completely from getting funding if you don't have a current rate study, because the way it's looked at is water and wastewater is ratepayer based and is supposed to be self-sufficient, and grants are supposed to supplement that. It also limits our ability to get loans. If we get, a 50% grant, to be able to get the other part of the loan, we need updated rate studies.
So in the plans, rate studies, feasibility analysis is done. That leads to the shovel-ready projects.
Correct.
Which make it more likely that we'll be able to have successful grants.
Yes, and so like Highlands Pump Station, we had that 100% designed, so it's shovel-ready, so it makes it compete better. We have a catastrophic failure somewhere, then that qualifies them for, emergency funds or other things. But not having a current rate study in some of the areas is a hindrance.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Director Bore before we move on?
Yeah, I'd like to get at least some conversation, or maybe Mr. Guintavano, about the separation between Lake Cosan and the rest as the Board of Supervisors.
So for that, as it relates to this item, that can be provided via direction of staff, via consensus.
Well, I guess my question is, not that are we allowed, but I guess that's the question. Are we allowed to set a capital improvement plan as the Board of Supervisors without being Lake Cosan when we're utilizing Lake Cosan dollars to do it in the first place?
So for purposes of captioning in relation to this agenda item, the answer would be, well, if your board decides to, your board has the option to provide direction to staff to do a separate presentation as it relates to Lake Cosan, and take the information that your board has right now in relation to just the county of Lake and proceed under that scope for purposes of the action, if that's what you're getting at in terms of how this is captioned, what's being presented to you, and how to move forward in terms of the proposed separation.
And I guess I'm sure that I can do it, but I would just need to know, what are we approving if we're separating out anything, because it's very specific as to what gets separated out, and some of them are listed as all districts, and I'm not sure if that means Kelseyville and Southeast, because at that point that separation becomes a little bit more difficult. I'm just uncomfortable approving something without us being under the guise of the correct board approving the funding, the plan.
So one option for your board is to direct staff to come back at a later date with the separation direction that, as you've outlined, so that caption-wise, what would be presented to you could be a combined item or two separate agenda items. But in essence, you could direct staff, your board, via consensus. It's not a public hearing, so it could be done via consensus. Direct staff to come back with that direction to separate the two. And then at that point, at that subsequent hearing, your board could then have two separate actions.
And that would be my preference, because I think it's the appropriate thing to do.
It's cleaner.
Can I add?
Yes.
So the 25-26 funding that is allocated in this plan was actually already appropriated in the budget. So as the Board of Supervisors sitting as a joint Lagos and Board of Supervisors already approved the projects for this year. So that wouldn't drastically derail anything because these projects were already funded.
Okay. Any other questions for Director Bore? Go ahead.
Oh, no, not for direct, no.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and hear from Director Ewing.
All right. Lars Ewing, Public Works Director. Appreciate the questions, quite a few of them. But to summarize them with roads, PCI was mentioned a lot, Pavement Condition Index, and there was reference to the kind of the parallel for facilities, facilities condition index. It's less commonly used, but I think it's important to note that those are the establishment of those indices that's one tool in the toolbox. And for roads, for example, that is the condition of the surface of the road. That they're not looking underneath the road, does not identify anything that might cause problems. For example, a landslide or grant funding that comes in for a specific category of roads. So the overarching idea of including all plans that help inform this capital improvement plan, that's a laundry list, to be quite honest. To attach it, the pavement management plan that was referenced earlier is one. There's a local road safety plan. There's institutional knowledge that comes from the road superintendent and the foreman. So I think what I would suggest, rather than including or attaching each of the plans that help inform this capital improvement plan, is maybe we list them. What is the basis for the establishment of preparing this plan? That might at a minimum provide some information about what helps prioritize the various projects. But specific to PCI, that is far from the only tool that we use. Pavement Condition Index is at least your board is aware of it, and it's easy to grasp onto. But when we look at bridges, for example, there's unique funding coming from federal highways through Caltrans for bridges. If I could take all the money that is there for bridges, we might spread it out and do some work on roads. But that is non-discretionary funding that comes down. Similarly, on type of road, some funding coming from the feds and the state is specific to road classification. We can't spend it on a local road, for example, but we can on an arterial. Just to give you some examples. So there's a lot that factors in there. As it relates to geography, I think there's some value, informative if nothing else, for the PCI of each district. But again, the selection of roads in areas is certainly geography plays in, and it's not out of any prioritization for a district, but rather prioritization for crew operations. As you can imagine, if we are chip sealing or doing any work in one area, it makes a whole lot more sense for mobilization to do as much of work there in that region as possible. So that's really what drives that decision-making process. Lastly, at least I believe lastly, that I wanted to respond to is the comment about chip seal, that we would love to do more than just chip seal. I would love to. Cost savings and getting the most bang for our buck. That's right now where our crew really shines and where we can make a whole lot of an impact. But keep in mind that chip seal is more than just chip seal. We use that term similar to PCI. We throw it around, but chip seal frequently includes and actually most commonly includes a lot of prep work to the road underneath that chip seal. So there's a leveling course of asphalt. There's dig outs of asphalt. So there is a lot of asphalt work that is included in the quote unquote chip seal project that the county pursues every year. Better term might be a pavement preservation project. That's really what we're talking about. And to that point, pavement preservation is again one tool in maintaining and improving the county road system. We want to preserve our infrastructure. That's priority one, and pavement preservation really keys into that. But bridge rehabilitation, bridge replacements is another. Drainage improvements, improvements in areas where there's non-discretionary funding. If we could spread it out equally and simply have a formula, it would be easy, and we use that as one tool, but it's not the only tool. So I think that at least responds at a high level to some of the comments.
Thank you. Any questions remaining? Go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
So I know it's not the only thing, but what is the worst area for PCI? As in like township, not like specific road or specific anything, but like a township itself.
I'd have to follow up with you. I don't have that information right in front of me.
So I know that I did a check a while back, and Lucerne was highlighted as having a PCI of 28. And everything else that's on the list that I see that is ahead of Lucerne has a higher PCI. And so I'd like to see 2930 not be at 2930. I'd like it to move up. I think that we started a conversation way before you were in your seat where that was to be first, then it was flipped, and it was last. And I think that I've driven through those roads. I just went to a town hall the other day to help peg out. Those roads need some help. And whether there's slippage or not or other issues, the people who live there are enduring the cost of their vehicles to deal with those roads. And it's been a 6-year process that I've just seen them continuously get pushed back. And I would like to see 2930 moved on up. I would love to see it at the 26, 27, 27, 28 at the very least.
Go ahead, please.
I'll certainly look into that. 2 comments to that that may factor into the timing is preparatory work that is unrelated to the Public Works Department. We coordinate with utility companies that have planned work in the area. Certainly makes sense for us to follow their work, whether it's water improvements, fiber installations. I'm not definitively saying that is the reason, but I am aware that up in the North Shore area that has factored into the decision-making process for timing. So I'll follow up there. There's a common saying in road maintenance that at least when you hear a PhD talk about how to maintain roads, they use this term. It's not worst first. Doing worst first is the worst thing you can do as far as maintaining roads. A road that has a PCI of 20 that is in a failed state is going to continue to be in a failed state, but a road that is in a good condition is going to more quickly deteriorate into a fair or poor condition. And so we need to preserve the infrastructure that is in good state. Now, we don't definitively follow that guidance. If we did, then we wouldn't ever be touching any roads that failed. But I want to make sure that we also factor in preserving roads that are in good shape, because from a cost perspective, we get a whole lot more bang for our buck by doing a relatively simple, maybe a single chip seal without even any prep work. And so a cost per mile is drastically down on those, and we can extend the life of those. If we had additional funding to truly improve all of our roads up into a good state, we would have done that long ago. But your board has received a presentation that shows the Public Works Department's estimates of what our PCI would be at the end of our 5-year plan currently. And it does go up. We're looking at about I believe it was pushing into 50, and so it's kind of a plan your work and let's work that plan and allow that PCI to increase.
I'm not sure who was first, so I'll go with Crandall.
And I hear you. I appreciate that explanation, Lars. I just, I have to highlight that the community, and you even said it when we had the last meeting discussing the roads and the plan, how the previous plans were in essence, I would say pipe dreams, I guess, is because they were waiting on specific funding it was shooting for the stars to get funding on. So, the communities in Lucerne, Nice, Clear Lake Oaks, they're all anticipating and hearing each year that they're going to be, prioritized for once, and then now they're not. And so I think explaining what you did really helps. it's just there's an amount of frustration, and Supervisor Sabatier and I had discussed a lot of this already. So that's why, I think that's why it's being brought up. And so I just have to highlight that, but it's appreciative to know that we're trying to preserve these other areas, regardless of where they are, but just to make sure that they keep a decent PCI score. But that's still very discouraging to hear, and I don't know if there's another way to address, if we're focusing on these preservation projects and then these deterioration projects, how do we address that absence, if that makes sense? I don't know if there's a method or what, but yeah.
If I could respond to that, by saying worse first, the reason for bringing that up is simply to say that preserving our infrastructure is the most cost-effective way. That doesn't mean that we aren't addressing roads that are in a failed state. We certainly are. Your board requested of me, and I'll be coming back on June 2nd with the road work plan for this year, and also looking into the next 4 years. So I'll include with that the PCI of each road, or at least road segment. Each road doesn't necessarily have the same PCI. So I can include in that presentation demonstration of what are we attacking? Are we only attacking roads that are already in a 70, or are we in fact looking at roads that are failed? It is the latter, for sure. So and back to the just to maybe provide a little bit more information for the public, and for your as a reminder to your board about the quote unquote pipe dream presentation that may have been provided to your board in years past. My understanding of that presentation is that it was a 10-year plan, similar to a capital improvement plan in a sense, but a plan that was not fiscally constrained. It was a plan of what would we do? What would we need to do to get countywide our PCI? I think it was up to a 50. And so the Public Works Department prepared that plan of here's what we would do if money were not an issue. Here are the projects that we would carry out to get the countywide PCI to 50. My understanding is that might have been the basis for some of the expectations of roads being completed in a certain year, because it went so far as to present by road, by year, work that would be done in the next 10 years in order to get that countywide PCI up to 50. But it was not fiscally constrained. The CIP that we're looking at is not fiscally constrained beyond this fiscal year. But the 5-year road work plan that I've presented to your board, and I'll come back on June 2nd, that is a fiscally constrained presentation, and it's to use a more simplistic term, it's a realistic plan. It's something that we feel we can carry out with the funding that is at our disposal.
Thank you, Supervisor Sabatier.
And I appreciate the explanation. It's the right explanation, but tough to swallow if you live in that area where you're being told, yes, it's failed, but we're going to deal with the other roads that are better because it's going to cost more if we wait to treat them later, right? So from a resident perspective, it's a tough pill to swallow, but it's a very real explanation. I've used that exact same explanation because we have to figure out what the cost is going to be to do all the work that we want to do. So I guess what I'm saying is I support you in what you're saying, but it's still tough on a personal level where it is that we live. I do want to say one more thing. It's just a observation I made, and it's a very obvious observation, but it's one I made when I was going through the list, because I am who I am, so I had to write this all out to understand where is the money going on a year-to-year basis, because the only way it was programmed in our PDF was what is transportation, what is special districts, what is facilities on a per year basis, what does it look like on a per district basis. I want to know per district, per year, and get an understanding of how we've managed to put it around on the calendar and where things will be happening. So I needed to look at it a little further. The amount of effort that we make as a county that is a benefit to the city of Lakeport is intense, and I hope they appreciate it. But I hope that we like things like what I see in downtown Lower Lake. Yes, I'd love to see retail instead of social services, but those social services people there, they go shopping in Lower Lake during lunch, and they contribute to the economy in Lower Lake, which contributes back to us. The people in Lucerne at behavioral health, they also contribute to the economy. Everything that we build here in Lakeport, it has the Lake County name to it, but it contributes not right back to us, it contributes right back to Lakeport. And the amount of activity that I see in the buildings that we're doing retrofits on or just upgrading and all of that, it's great. It's what we need to do. And while I appreciate what we're doing with the sheriff's station, it doesn't really contribute back to a specific town because it's kind of isolated. And I hope that we can focus on whatever is next in the things that we need to build or move on from one building to another, that we can look at our townships and how it is that what we do can contribute to those townships' economy, whether it's building in Middletown, whether it's building in Kelseyville, and so on and so forth. And I know that we want to be very specifically accessible to the general public. But things like, just for example, like the ag commissioner, Lakeport's not necessarily the center of ag, right? Could be Upper Lake, could be Kelseyville, could be Middletown. So I want us to think in that way because we contribute so much back to Lakeport. I'm not against that, but it's not necessarily helping our bottom line and what we're trying to do in the long run as well. So just wanted to make that last comment. Just an observation.
Thank you.
I was just going to quickly comment on your first point. I could put together some relational databases so you can splice it and dice it different ways. And so you can, if you want more kind of a geographic analysis with the projects, I can make that accessible. So,
Vice Chair.
Yeah, I would appreciate that geographic analysis, but also, I mean, we have to maintain the buildings we have, and the buildings we have are in the places they are. And Lake County is our seat, or I'm sorry, Lakeport is our seat. And so this is where the majority of our campus is. So, I mean, apart from building new campuses outside of Lakeport, we have to focus where our infrastructure is.
Thank you. So any other questions, or I can open it up to the public? We'll go ahead and open it up to the public at this point. Do we have anyone in the room?
Good morning, Chair Rasmussen and supervisors. Margot Kambara, Lake County General Plan Advisory Committee representative, speaking for myself. This is the season for long-range planning. Public comment on the general plan and the local area plans closed last week. The county has committed millions of grant dollars to updating the general plan and the local area plans. The capital improvement plan for fiscal year 2025-26 through fiscal year 2029 through 30 is an important step to building a resilient, energy efficient, and economical county infrastructure. I'm glad to hear Mr. Rickelman tell your board that the next CIP will reflect more robust integration with existing plans, and that should include the general plan and the local area plans. The general plan and local area plans have goals, policies, and actions related to improving energy conservation and efficiency in public and private structures. A question for the first CIP and subsequent CIPs is, how will it integrate general plan goals, policies, and actions? I urge those working under the capital improvement plan to refer to the energy goals and measures in the general plan and local area plans, and incorporate the relevant goals, policies, and actions into the CIP. This could be most relevant to roof replacement and HVAC work. Leveraging economies of scale, the county could make bulk purchases of materials or secure materials at low interest loans available for energy efficiency and resiliency initiatives. For taxpayers, energy efficiency has a bonus of lowering operating costs of county facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Not seeing anyone online, Johanna? Sterling, if you can state your name, you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Sterling. I am here kind of speaking for Spring Valley. I can go and get pictures of our low water crossing. We have been on the hazardous mitigation for decades now. We're spending money. I understand his logic with the pH, where you've got to keep new roads nice and not worry about old roads. But that's like taking a sick patient and saying, well, you're sicker than this patient, so we're going to take care of this patient because they're not as sick as this patient. And that patient's just going to keep declining. So the longer we keep waiting and declining stuff, it's going to keep costing more. And if you actually do the statistics, 80% of money that goes towards roads actually goes to wages and equipment. And only about 20 to 25% of that money actually gets laid on the road. We're sitting here chip seal this. I agree with Bruno. Chip seal may be cheap right now and easy to lay, but chip seal has to constantly be relayed. When you do the work right, instead of putting a Band-Aid on something that needs stitches, you're going to keep spending more money, and we're going to keep spending more money every year. Yeah, maybe it's going to cost more at first to do the asphalt, 100%, but we will save more in the long run when we do the work done correctly. And now I'm going to go back to the bridge out in Spring Valley. This is a major concern. Spring Valley has lost homes. It has been evacuated many times. Lake County Sheriff agrees that we need to have a bridge. We have North Shore Fire that agrees that we need to have a bridge. When I spoke with Ewan about the low water crossing, I am told that they are not responsible for maintaining the low water crossing. Robin Borey has been out there and seen the low water crossing. If there was a fire to happen today and we had to evacuate that way, many people are going to be stuck because it is unpassable for a vehicle. You have to have a major four-wheel drive. So I'm really hoping that they can allocate more than $10,000 towards a bridge that has been put on there for many, many years. And we're going to go another 5 years. It's going to be put off another 5 years and another 5 years. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a paradise in Spring Valley. And us community members are the ones that are losing our homes and lives and our animal livestock because of the non-due diligence on making sure that you're protecting a community that is in a high fire risk. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else online? No other hands? I'll go ahead and close public comment. Bring it back to the board for any final questions or direction. Go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
I just want to see if there's consensus to request to move the 2930 road project or not. And I know that there's potential, but all of this is up for consideration depending if the funding is available, if everything is ready. Nothing is set in stone for 26, 27 through 2930. But just looking to see if there's consensus.
Go ahead, Supervisor Pyska.
I think that I can't give consensus to that today without a more holistic conversation. And it sounds like we're going to have one on June 2nd. If we're going to look to separate these out, this has to come back anyway, if we want to separate out Lake Osan.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hold that conversation until we can have a deeper dive.
Go ahead, Director.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's what I would suggest. I'll come back June 2nd with, between now and then, we'll take a hard look at the plan that we have and have had and have presented to your board, and we'll see what we can do for those years.
And my comment would be, I believe, the way I understand this is a living, ongoing document that's going to constantly be updated, with stuff that gets done or new things that might come on at least once a year. Is that my understanding?
Correct. So how CIPs operate, they do have this longer time frame, but their new version comes out every year. So there can be different projects for 26, 27, 27, 28. We're not locked into, even if all these projects were funded, we still wouldn't be locked into for 5 years. It's an annual process.
So staff would be basically continually working on it,
Correct.
as needed, and then we would see it back at least once a year.
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm fine with it except for I don't have a problem with separating out Lake Osan. I just want to make sure I understand that would be Lake Osan projects, but for example, if it was something at Kelseyville Waterworks, that would stay in this one, or?
That's what I believe.
Because that wouldn't be under the jurisdiction of Lake Osan, so there would be if I'm understanding that right, we would have some special district projects that may be in this plan, and then Lake Osan would be on its own? Is that,
I would expect that you would also have projects that the same project appears in both as the funding crosses.
okay, so that we put it, non-Lake Osan would be in both? Or is that?
Well, there would be, the non-Lake Osan projects, the water projects, the Kelseyville Waterworks, all of those projects, and then the sewer projects that are under Lake Osan. But there are projects like our SCADA project, our software improvement project, that encompass everything. So they would be in both plans.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm okay with that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a big heavy lift to separate those.
Okay. Any other questions from the board, or I guess we're ready for direction? I think we just have to give direction on this, so that's pretty clear on the separation. And then, as I understand, the rest of it stays as is. And then we'll be hearing back on the roads, and we can provide further comment after that. Anything else? No? Okay, I think we can close this item and move on. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Rickelman, and appreciate the directors being here to provide more detailed information and answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think we're going to be at our 6:10. Is that sound right? CAO? Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going to call our 6:10. This is our 10:30 item. It's a hearing, consideration of request for a hearing for code enforcement actions taken at 16360 State Highway 175 in Cobb, California. The APN number being 013-056-010, and the property owner is Solo Morocco LLC, requester Marco Garcia Holloman. And you're here for that item, sir? Okay. So we're going to need to start this out by swearing in witnesses, and that would be anyone from both sides that's going to offer any testimony. So we'll need you to stand, sir. And do you have witnesses with you? Anybody that's going to testify on your behalf? Just you?
Anybody that, yes.
Anybody that's here to testify on this matter? Okay.
And we have Elliot Hurwitz online.
We have Elliot Hurwitz online. So online, you use your hand feature. Everyone else raise your hand and be sworn.
All right, with your right hand raised, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you. And is this an owner-occupied property? You go ahead, County Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With this being a code enforcement appeal, typically code enforcement, the department would present first.
Okay. Then we'll start with code enforcement. So if you give your presentation.
Good morning to the board. Marcus Beltramo, Code Enforcement Manager for the County of Lake. Coming here before the board today regarding a request for a hearing. Code Enforcement issued a notice of violation and a notice of nuisance in order to abate against the property. The property here is 16360 State Highway 175 in Cobb, California. So code enforcement received a complaint. We went out, conducted an investigation. Here's a photo of the property. Code enforcement determined several violations were occurring on the property. There was a cargo container brought on the property without a zoning clearance, and I'll go through the pictures in a second. A kennel was placed on the property without a zoning clearance. There was a complaint issue about the fence that was deemed to be corrected by the property owner. And then the main issue, which is the use of the property. The property is being used for residential uses. That's going to require a use permit. A use permit was applied for, but that use permit has now been rescinded, or they're not moving forward with it. That being said, let me show you some pictures here. Here's the fence that has been determined to be in compliance. The property is a commercial property. Here, go ahead.
If I could just add a little bit of context, Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. This property is zoned local commercial, C2. It is within Cobb. It's a community commercial, community commercial C2 is more of your Main Street type of locations. We expect frequent public access, public traffic. It's where our shops are located. And Cobb does not have very many of these areas. This was formerly a real estate office, among other things. There are multiple commercial suites within this building.
And from the photo, you can see here through the fence, you can see the cargo container on the top photo, or the travel trailer on the top photo here. You could see evidence of residential uses here. This is the storage of residential items. Again, here's a better picture of the travel trailer. Again, it's been situated on the property more than 30 days. Again, we believe it's being used in connection to the residential use. Another picture of the property. And really, that's our presentation, and we rest.
Okay, you mentioned this use permit that was applied for. That just was never issued. It didn't go anywhere.
At the request of the applicant, Mr. Holman, it was withdrawn.
Okay.
Again, this is a community commercial property. It does have some allowance for an accessory residential use to an existing commercial use, but what the applicant or the appellant said was his use was as a private office, that he could have clients coming to it, but that is more what you find in local commercial, a surveyor's office, engineer's office, things like that have more limited public access or regular public visits. It's not appropriate for community commercial, which is, again, our Main Street type of business locations.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions for community development before we allow Mr. Holloman to go
I
ahead?
have one more thing, thank you. We were unable to find any records of approval of a building permit for residential use of this location, which is also going to be an important part of the case. When the property owner filed for a use permit in order to legalize using one of the suites, business suites, as a residential process, we couldn't quite do that because the existing commercial use that had been converted when the property was sold is a local commercial use. It's not a Main Street type community commercial use.
Okay. All right, Mr. Holloman, do you want to present, come up to the microphone?
I apologize, but here I bring a few envelopes for the board. Can I share?
The clerk will grab.
Oh, you're ready.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's ready. Yeah. And it's a boy. Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there you have the picture. It's working this? Okay, perfect. There you have the before and after picture, and how the director say very clear, yes, I cancel because when I buy the property, I saw and they tell me in all the website was an apartment too. So I try to put up to date, but after I work with planning, and I see it will be very difficult because I cannot find any information from 1950. Because the property is from 1950 and the apartment was from 1950, and I said, you know what, I will go all commercial. So I cancel, and I put there all the picture because all the concern they have about the trailer, the can and everything is out. So I will read and I put the letter because I speak Spanish, Portuguese, and English now. I have a strong accent. In this way, everyone can understand what I'm talking about. Good morning. My name is Marco Garcia Holman. I am the owner of the property 16360 State Highway 175 in Cobb. Since receiving the notice of violation, I have taken substantial steps to address the concern. I am not longer using the property as a resident, and I have secured another home. So what meaning this? I have a property in Lower Lake. So in this, so I can vote for you. Good. So I have a property in Lower Lake, and I took my dogs there because some people was complaining because my dog barked because they pass in front of the fence. No problem. I have already removed the kennel, the toy howler, and other non-commercial items for the property. And I am continuing to clean up and the relocation process. I have also withdrawn the residential application, and I am moving forward with full compliance with C2 commercial zoning. The remaining item I have is the container, because I'm putting all my personal belongings inside, and I will share something with the board from November, the half of November to the half of December. I have 4 operations in my legs because I have a PA day. This is the what they call, and they put a stern. So I have a medical condition right now, and in February, I have a bypass in my leg. For this, I'm asking if I can have 60 more days to finish everything, and then the property is full C2 and no nothing. You can see in the picture, I don't have the toy howler, I don't have more the kennel, I don't have more the dogs, and I live in Lower Lake. Sorry, Clear Lake. Oh, you see? You see? Well, I switch. Yeah. So I will appreciate if I can have this 60 days to finish all the cleaning and return the property as C2, as how I say. And the idea is to rent all the office, so nobody's living there, nothing. So if the board allow me, I think so we're good, and I try to help and the community and everything. Yes.
Okay. Supervisor Vice Chair.
Well, I'm glad to hear that that you've changed some tacks and some direction. There's been a lot of, there have been quite a few complaints coming from the property. Are you going to take the fence down?
The fence will depend of the tenant, because if the tenant want the fence or not, it's not under my control. I need to rent the office. So I don't know. I don't want to compromise with something. I don't know what will happen.
Well, if it's going to be full C2 use, then the parking lot needs to be open and available for people to come and go to visit a retail place or a
For
real
this,
estate
if
office.
it's a medical place, it's a marketing.
Is the fence a violation? Part of the violation?
The fence is not currently a violation, except that the use is inconsistent with a Main Street type of use. But C2 does allow for a fence, and the fence is built within the setback, so it is according to what would be allowed.
And when did you buy the property?
August 14.
August 14th?
Yes.
And how did you learn about the Cobb community, and how are your roots there?
It's funny because you and me have a previous conversation about the situation in my property. You went to my property and accused me the red paint, and was fake. So I prefer we focus in this more than you continue to coming with more questions about my property, because the last time I request to you to leave my property.
And I think that's where we have a lot of problems here. I pulled over to take a call. I was actually on the phone with Supervisor Sabatier, and I pulled.
And you call here.
And I did call
and you
her
call here,
because-
and
excuse
both.
me, I need to be able to finish speaking.
Let her speak.
I pulled over to have a conversation with Supervisor Sabatier, and then you came out and started yelling at me, and then I called Mireya so I would have a witness. The reason I'm asking is, this community has been through quite a lot over the last 11 years almost, recovering from the Valley Fire. And this particular piece of property is the center of our town. This is the oldest commercial property. When I was a kid, this was the post office, the grocery store. The grocery store was across the street, the coffee shop, the hair salon, and the little log cabin was the real estate office. This is a very important piece of property for the community. And to have it fenced off, and to have all those no parking signs, and the dogs are gone, but that was very aggressive. It's a very difficult place for our community to have such a aggressive facade. We have people coming in the summer, just later this month. We will have summer people all through the summer months. This is the heart of our economy. People coming to visit, they walk past that property all the time. That property was used for farmers markets. It was our Christmas tree place. The bookmobile used to park there. So you have to understand why people are very upset that you have cut this off and made it very, very unwelcoming. And the red curb was never red before. That
Ma'am, you send me the...
Sir, hang on, please. You'll get another chance.
Yeah. So we don't have our fire chief here. The permission was not given to paint it red. Our public works director here, the board of supervisors has to approve every red curb that's painted in this county, for your awareness. So for you to go and paint a red curb on your own, it's not okay. It's illegal. So I'm glad that you are moving your things out, that you're not living there, because there is no legal permitted residence there at this time. There could be in the future, but where the person was living before was the old post office. That's why there's not a permit there for residents. I think you're going to hear from some of the community members just how important this place is. And even though the fence is not a part of this violation, it is not very neighborly to have that up and to have that very, very aggressive facade for our community and welcoming our summer people.
Okay.
Okay, first, she sent the fire chief from Sonoma, Lake County, and Conich to talk with me. And he went to come in and say, yes, Marco, I went to ask to the fire department if you have permission, and yes, you have permission. The fire department, the chief, tell to me, and I have his card. Can I speak, ma'am?
I'm just asking, was that Chief Duncan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, and I have the report. I have the report because you sent him to question me about the red line, and he saw the red line is from 1955 there all around, and I paint and I have the permission. And you are accusing me again, I don't have the permission. So I am start to feel this is a little personal, honestly, because the fire chief was there. I explained, and he tell me, Marco, the only thing you need to have is a knock door cage for open the gate if we need. What the fire department tell me, and you can check all this. Second, was a coincidence. She stopped in my property exactly, and when I went outside and asked what she need, she started to yelling me, no me. I asked, ma'am, do you need any help? And tell me, I am your representative. And then she called the director, and the director started to tell me I need to be more nice. I need to be more nice with her because she's my representative. And I say, ma'am, I will ask you to leave my property because she was inside of my property, or I will call the
Okay,
sheriff.
well, let's try to focus on the situation we have here.
So
you have stated that you're in agreement with the notice and you're correcting it. You've removed the
everything
kennel. You've removed the trailer. You're going to remove the
container.
Connex box.
It's the only one I'm missing. For this, I'm asking 60 days because I unpack all my personal stuff because my dream was to live there, have my own office there, and work with the community.
Okay.
And by the way, about the Christmas, the people coming to ask me permission to do the Christmas there, and you know what's happened? The county don't allow the permit. And I give the permission to the people. So don't tell me I am not working
Okay,
with
so let's focus here. What you're not disagreeing with the orders.
No.
You're asking for 60 days.
Nothing more. And I promise I will come here and I will show all the pictures. Everything is done.
Okay. Do you have any other information to present regarding this violation?
No. For this, I bring the picture and I appreciate the opportunity. And hey,
Okay.
I love the place where I buy.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say that I did have a conversation with Chief Duncan. He called me. He's not able to be here today, unfortunately. Permission was not given by the fire department to paint the curb. It wasn't. And where I was parking, I pulled over. That is the Caltrans right away.
Is the red sidewalk a piece of this code enforcement violation? So I'd like to only talk about what we are in control of. If there's a violation and it's with the fire districts, I think that needs to be resolved, but I got a no answer that the red sidewalk is not a current violation that we are discussing here for this notice of violation.
For the record, the painting of the curb was not a part of our action.
Correct, but I just want to say that this is it is part of the conversation that Director Ewing and I have had and with Caltrans, and it is a really difficult place. It's hard to place where it exactly goes. So it's part of the conversation, is not part of this violation.
And that would be an action that the county itself would have to take, not the fire department.
Correct, it has nothing to do with the fire.
Right, the fire department doesn't approve the red curb, but, so we've satisfied that. Do you have any other evidence?
I say in front of all the cameras,
Yeah.
I have permission from the fire department, and I'd be more than happy to come in again in front of the chief of the fire department to prove.
But we're not going there. They don't approve that, and it's not part of the violation. So we've talked about it. Do you have any other evidence on?
No, I say thank you for the opportunity, and I compromise myself in 60 days. Everything is clean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does community development have anything to respond just related to what was presented? He's stated that he's in agreement, and he just asked for 60 days.
Whether the 60 days is granted or not, that's going to be a determination made by your board. 60 days seems pretty lengthy for someone to take their personal belongings and put it in the container. Having the container transported doesn't seem like it would take 60 days. A health issue was mentioned that maybe need to take into consideration. I know there's sensitivity around health issues, so I'm not going to discuss that, but that should be taken into consideration. But 60 days seems a little long here, given that we've already kind of had some passage of time. He made the request, we've stayed the action, and we've had a passage of time from when he appealed till now. So there's been a lot of time that has passed. In my opinion, 60 days seems a little long. But the health issue is something that does need to be taken into consideration. And then I would just ask that we do need to perform a final inspection, and if Mr. Holloman could allow that final inspection whenever it's determined that he should be in compliance, I'd appreciate that.
Okay. And Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, I was going to say something, but now I have a question. What do you mean the health issue?
Mr. Holloman mentioned that he
Oh, gotcha. I was thinking like there was a health and safety issue.
No,
I
I could get that.
His personal
health issue that was limiting him.
So I'm trying to do better from the last one, where last week we did 45 days. And I like the code that we have, and I had a good conversation with county council. So if there's never an appeal, you give them 30 days to accomplish the work that you're asking them to do. If you see 50% or more or whatever in progress, you have the discretion, not the mandate, but the discretion to provide an extra 30 days, one time only, and after that it's over. It looks like this was, the notice of violation was provided on January 30th. Looks like his appeal was submitted on February 7th, so that's on the 8th day. Then there was a stay because we waited till we're here today to have the conversation. So 30 minus 8 means there's 22 days left. Do you agree that there could, or that you would provide an extension based, have you seen the pictures that he submitted? Do you agree to the extension? And I think you should look at it because I think it's important to know your perspective because you're the one who typically gives the discretion on whether an extension should be given or not. If you agree to the extension, I would say that the 22 days plus 30, we do 52 days, not 60, because I want to follow what you follow. If I feel our board should be saying, yes, there's a violation, or no, there's not a violation, and then using your process to continue. If you agree that 50% has been done, and let's do the 52. If you disagree, then I would say you have 22 days left to finish because you had 30 days originally, there was a stay, and we're here. So those are the ones that I would feel more comfortable with rather than going the full 60, because I think that if there is a violation, it's impacting the community, and I don't want to extend things further than what you would be able to extend further if there was never an appeal that was provided. And so that's what I would be looking at is 22 or 52, depending on if you say yes today, that based on what you're seeing, that you would use your discretion in providing a 30-day extension.
Good question.
Sorry, long-winded.
No, I think it makes perfect sense, and I appreciate how you're kind of breaking this down. It does look like 50% of the violations have been corrected. I would like to verify that he's no longer residing or occupying the property before I comment, because that's the...
He's under oath.
Yeah, I understand. I prefer more direct verification. But that's the big issue. And if that issue was corrected, I'd be a little more inclined to give him a little more time to get his personal items out. But if that issue is not resolved, because that's the major issue here, I would be hesitant to grant any extensions.
So my recollection, hang on, sir. My recollection of his testimony was that he stated he was not living there anymore. He had moved to Lower Lake. Clear Lake. And I also want to, for the record, your photographs have now been provided to Community Development for their review. So I have a couple of questions. Can you come up? So you verified you have moved to Clear Lake?
Yes,
so you're no
I
longer...
I have a contract, and I can invite you to my home. You can play with my dogs, and you see where I am living.
Okay.
Because the biggest violation was the residential. So, out, okay. Marco. I need to be out.
And are you willing to... They asked about permission for a final inspection.
After I finish, no problem.
You'll be willing to do that?
I invite him, and Chris, happy to come into the property and check everything.
Okay.
It's the code enforced, but I will say no.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say just in response to their last comment? I asked you, well,
No, I move out.
Okay.
I am...
Okay.
Look, I cannot lie.
Okay.
I move out. I have my dogs, my wife living with me in another house. I rent another house. I have the contract. I have PGE in my name. I cannot have the water because the garbage need to be in the name of the owner. But everything is under my name, and I moved at least 20 days ago, 30 days, because I just coming back from the hospital.
Okay.
I have a bypass in my leg. They take my vein out, and I take my artery out and put my vein. For this, I'm asking a little more because I'm doing everything for myself.
Okay, understood. We understand your request. Now we're going to open it up to the public.
Okay.
And then it'll be back to the board for discussion. Thank you. At this point, we'll go ahead and open it up unless there's any other board questions. Not seeing any. We had a couple of members of the public that, what's that? Lloyd, County Council, hang on, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So your board just may want to check if there's any additional testimony because there were other witnesses or potential witnesses that were sworn in before taking public.
And I believe I asked you if you had any other witnesses. You confirm you do not? You do not? Okay. So now we'll open it up to the public. If you can state your name for the record, you'll have 3 minutes to address.
I'm Timothy Toy. I was a tenant in the property. I now have an office across the road. I was a tenant there for maybe 17 years, something like that. The whole time I lived there, there was a resident mostly the owner who passed away a few years ago, living in the apartment there. It was certainly an apartment before we rented there, so just stating that as a matter of fact, I didn't mind that. It was good security when the office wasn't open. Moving across the road, I would echo a lot of what Ms. Peisker said, I had endless phone calls from the neighbors about what the hell is going on that property. And it was mainly about the fence, which if it is 10 feet back from the boundary, apparently is not in violation. But I think the fence, even if it is not an actual code enforcement issue, is really inappropriate in terms of, I mean, it's really a scenic driveway through Cobb Mountain just to have that commercial area blocked off. The dogs were constantly annoying. They're gone now, so that's fine. It does say no parking in front of the building. We have an agreement. I met with Marco that we can park our overflow parking. It can't happen there. So that's pretty much it. It should be known that it's a walking thoroughfare, even though there isn't a sidewalk. We're very disappointed there wasn't actually put in one put in by Caltrans when they redid the bridge there a couple of years ago. But there's constantly people walking from Pine Grove or Spring Pines, especially through the summer to Hardisters and Mountain High there. So there is a community aspect which I think cannot be dismissed. And so Marco is saying that he will take the fence down when I can't imagine a commercial tenant would not want the fence taken down. There could be a more attractive fence put up, for instance, if that was a security issue, like with with metal bars. So I think that's about it. I'd have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. And next in the room.
My name is Magdalena Valderrama Hurwitz. I'm a wildfire resilient strategist. I live in the Cobb area. I live in the area. I shop along that corridor regularly. I meet with colleagues and friends there often. And I travel Highway 175 with enough frequency that what happens on the properties along that is not abstract to me. I know what it looks like. I see what it's become. I appreciate seeing the pictures. I appreciate that the personal effects have been removed, and that the fence is not part of the violation citation anymore. But I have to agree with the gentleman before me that the community character that is being affected by that fence. In my work, I want to be direct, I want to be fair, and I'm glad that Mr. Holman has the right to appeal, but you have to weigh everything against something larger than one man's preferences. So that this zoning regulation like C2 exists not as a bureaucratic inconvenience, but it is a framework for orderly, safe, and accessible land use. In our community, accessible land use is not a planning abstraction. It is a matter of life and death from my perspective as a strategist. I'll give you a concrete example. That commercial corridor, particularly that property, was the kind of accessible community space that I and my colleagues have used to host wildfire evacuation education events. People would park there, they would walk the booths, they would learn about their evacuation zones, they would pick up preparedness materials. That work depends on commercial properties along Highway 175 remaining open, visible, and welcoming. The state of that fence is not welcoming. Area residents count on that access. We count on it to serve this community. And when that space is walled off and blaming the tenant for it or whatever, that's not addressing the real issue. I think what else I might want to, I'm glad to see that the shipping container will be removed, that the dogs have been removed as well. And I feel that if Mr. Hoffman is intending to be part of the community, then it would be good to say so, that he has simply repeated and stated that he wants to remain there as a resident or to act on it. So let's talk about what it looks like to be part of the community and use that space in the way that it was intended as C2. Thank you.
Thank you. Next in the room. And if you could state your name, you'll have 3 minutes.
Chair, I'm struggling here, and I appreciate the comments, and you can allow the comments, but we're not here to control somebody's property, even when the code allows them to do what they want. And the last statement, I apologize that I'm picking on it, but somebody can move in and just isolate themselves, and they have every right to. They don't have to be a part of a community. Do I want them to engage? Absolutely, we all want to. But this feels really awkward the more we dive into it. There's certain violations that we should be able to discuss. Anything else, do I want to tell him what color to paint his house next? I'm really concerned as to what I'm hearing and the welcoming factor, I guess, because I don't know. I'm concerned that we are in an area that is no longer gray. It is absolutely not where we should be having this discussion.
I would like to second that, because this is like nails on a chalkboard for me right now. And the comments from Ms. Paiska about the fence and the curbs and getting on the phone immediately, it really does feel a little targeted. And I'm stunned. It shouldn't come like this.
Well, I think we're going to let our public speak. That the violation is he wanted to move in and make it his private compound. And that's not an allowable use.
I understand that. I believe Mr. Timothy.
But I'm still talking.
And I was too.
Okay.
I believe Mr. Timothy had mentioned that there had been somebody lived there before in the past, which apparently there wasn't a record of that. But it just feels like, honestly, it's nails on a chalkboard right now. So I don't feel comfortable with this. I think we need to leave it to what the violations are. He's already worked on them. He's stated that he's going to be moving out. He stated why he'll need a little more time. I believe that Mr. Sabatier, Supervisor Sabatier, had came up with a good resolution that he had brought forward, and I just can't see the public whipping that's going on right now. That you're not a good neighbor. You don't belong in this community type of a atmosphere, and it's uncomfortable. Thank you.
All right, Vice Chair.
Sure. So it is uncomfortable, and it has been uncomfortable. Because
it's his property.
Hang on.
So we're talking about the commercial center of our town, my town, where I live, where I grew up. And when someone comes in and wants to turn it into a private compound, that takes away the commercial. There's very few commercial buildings in the town. And so when you want to move in there and turn it into a residence, that is not an appropriate use with the C2 zoning. There was an apartment there that someone was living in, and it was not permitted. And there is a pathway to have an on-site residential unit if you have compliant commercial. And that is what the allowable use is. That's what we're talking about. And all I did was stop by on my phone. I was on the phone with you, and I said, oh gosh, someone's coming to the gate. And then he started yelling at me. That happened to me. I mean, he treated me that way right now. Lots of other people have had that experience, but that does not have anything to do with the violation that we're talking about. And so when you look at a community that has put together an economic development plan to recover from the fire, which probably Mr. Nettles is going to talk about, the importance of keeping commercial property commercial is the point. That is what we're talking about.
And that's all we should be talking about. We shouldn't be talking about somebody's feelings being hurt or all this personal stuff that's coming forward. And as far as the Valley Fire goes, to continually bring that up and use it that like this is affecting our community. You know what? I lost my ranch. I lost my home. I'm not dwelling on it. I'm not continually using that as a crutch or to gain sympathy or anything else. It's in the past. It's done.
Do you mind if I interrupt?
No, go
I
ahead.
apologize.
Go ahead, Supervisor.
I agree with you. Today, we are going to support that this needs to change. The gentleman agrees
Yep.
that this needs to change. And that's the conversation I would like to have, because I'm concerned about the edges that we are trespassing on.
Well, and that's, I think, what we're here to talk about, is to make sure that this is a commercial property, that it stays a commercial property, that it's open and available. And that's the whole point.
And what I'm requesting from the chair is that we stay within the margins of what is the notice of violation, support it or don't support it. That's all I wanted to bring up, because
That's it.
I'm worried about where we are.
Yes.
And with these type of hearings, we typically allow public comment. It's not evidence of the situation necessarily. It's just comments that we allow people to make, but it's not necessarily evidence. So appreciate the conversation. We've had people speak, so go ahead and, I mean, if we're, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't even see
It's
you.
okay. You guys were
Leaning
going back and
over.
forth. So, coming from a district that, where I would appreciate a lot more of this, and some folks going through what this gentleman's going through because of egregious things. I think it's also another thing that there's been other issues people have brought forward to our board, and we give them their 3 minutes. I mean, even though I know some of it doesn't apply, I mean, letting them be heard is something that I always try to do. So, I mean, I hear you. If it's asinine, I mean, it's not going all the way in left field. It has to do with the property. It has to do with somewhat of his behavior. So I don't really have an issue hearing it. It's 3 minutes. We listen to far more in public input. So, I mean, I don't have an issue to get through the 3 minutes and let them put it forward. But I do not have an issue with hearing that. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't see you there. So we'll go ahead and continue. Go ahead and make your statement. You'll have 3 minutes, and state your name for the record.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Christopher Nettles, and I'm speaking today as a member of the Cobb Area Council. It's, of course, the county-recognized municipal advisory council for the Cobb area. We support staff's recommendation to uphold the notice of violation, notice of nuisance in order to abate for this property, and appreciate the discretion that they exercise in making sure that these violations are dealt with. This property occupies one of the most visible and strategically important commercial locations in Cobb. Historically, the site has served as a center for small businesses, community gathering, and economic activity within Cobb's commercial core. As our community continues recovering from the Valley Fire and subsequent other economic disruption from the pandemic, preservation of appropriately zoned commercial space remains critically important to Cobb's long-term economic resilience and development. Cobb has very limited commercially zoned land within its town center area, and once those spaces are effectively lost to incompatible or unpermitted uses, they're extremely difficult to restore. This property is Zone C2, as we've talked about, community commercial, and I just want to reiterate that the stated purpose of C2 is to provide commercial retail and service establishments that serve and are open to the public. That's probably the issue around this fence and its visual nuisance. So the Cobb Area Council officially reached out to the property owner on March 15th, 2026, in a good faith effort to encourage dialogue regarding the future of this site and the importance to the community about this site. To date, we've not received a response or had an opportunity for meaningful engagement regarding the community's hopes and concerns about this important commercial property. We hope to work with this property owner. The issue before the board today is, of course, whether the county's enforcement findings and staff recommendations are appropriate. under the current conditions at the property, and Cobb Area Council believes that they are. So we respectfully ask the board to uphold and support staff's recommendations and any discretionary extensions that they might provide. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I believe that was everybody in the room, and we had, did you? Okay, and you have a public comment, Mr. Lasik?
I don't know that anyone else was sworn in.
They were not sworn in, but I
This
don't
is public comment, though.
necessarily believe they have to be sworn in. Can you weigh in on that question, Mr.
Correct.
Quintabano?
So your board may want to confirm if testimony has been closed, so that at that point, the only comments that should be coming in would be public comment, subject to the 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah, I believe that that I made a comment that we were going to move on to public comment earlier. So again, this is public comment. This is not sworn testimony for evidence.
Understood, Mr. Is this on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
you're
morning. Tom Lasik. Well, wow. I've sat where I normally sit. This is like the third or fourth abatement conversation we've had in a while, and this is the second one where I felt it was more of a kitchen sink type of things, where things got way beyond the actual notices of violation, and it seemed to, quite frankly, get personal. And I do agree that you should stick to what's actually in the violation. You know, arguing about what the paint color is, if that's not actually in the violation, is maybe something that can come from, you know, people like me that sit in the audience. But frankly, it is not appropriate for the board to lose that focus. I think that's, you know, the phone calls that were made and having to get witnesses and things like that. If that's not relevant to the actual code, then I would be concerned why it's being brought up. It's got to the point where, and with all due respect, Vice Chair Pyska, there may be a conflict of interest. And I understand your close ties to the community. That's where you grew up, but you've had confrontations with the appellant, and it's clearly unsettled you and him. I think there's, and it's gone way off track. So is he addressed some of the violations? Apparently, it looks like he has. You've given latitude in the past to locations that have had far more blight and eyesore than what appears in the photos that were on the slide. I think if things are followed through and it meets the discretion of code enforcement and in the latitude and the guidelines that were presented, then I think you should move forward. But to start the kitchen sinking and attacking on this, that you're not from here, I get it. I think if I was living there, and I'm not, and I know that, I would have emotional attachment too. This is where I grew up. This is where we used to have our farmers markets. This is where I shopped. This is where I, enjoyed and had a very idyllic part of my life or childhood or adulthood. That's all important, but that's not why we're here. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else in the room? Not seeing anyone, we'll go online. Elliot, state your name. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Rasmussen and members of the board. I'm Elliot Hurwitz, and I'm the director of the Cedar Springs Community Redevelopment Association. I was also the author of the Cobb Resilience and Development Strategy that the Cobb Area Council commissioned, following the Valley Fire. And I want to start by saying I don't think that the bringing up the matter of the long-term recovery from an event like the Valley Fire, including the intervening pandemic, is quote a dwelling in the past. I think it's a sober recognition of just how intensely that actually did disrupt the community, both economy and culture. And I think that it's critical to keep reminding people and to keep in front of our minds and our hearts just what happened in that fire, and that we need to be dedicated to doing everything we need to do to make sure that never happens again, and that we proceed with the kinds of development activities that we know will strengthen our community going into the future. In that development strategy, we took a good look at the Cobb Commercial Center and recognized that it really was critical for us to be able to develop that in order to begin to rebuild our community altogether. And we identified that area. At a certain point, we said we'd really like to do a formal town center development design study. I mean, we haven't been able to come up to that. Again, you all are very familiar with the struggles of recovery, et cetera. But that is, I just wanted to state as well that and emphasize the significance of that particular property for the overall development of the entire community there from a social and economic perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next. iPhone user, state your name, please, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Sky Lewa, Pillsbury Family Farms, and I wanted to say thank you to Supervisor Sabatier and to Supervisor Owen for taking a moment to pause. From my perspective, I'm trying to figure out, is this a code enforcement hearing or is it a community regulation hearing? Because it seems like there's a lot of intimidation and selective enforcement, which raises the important question, were the complaints against this particular person actually coming from concerned constituents from the Cobb area? Or were they being influenced and initiated by yourself, Supervisor Pyska? Because I see so much passion over a fence that is within, well, his regulation and his right. I really, truly would hope that you could bring as much passion over this fence to your 30-30-30 plan that you want to see with youth programs and such. Again, I really hope that this board takes into consideration that, from my perspective, this is more of a community regulation hearing than it is a code enforcement hearing. Mulaham.
Thank you. And was there one more? One? The number one, if you can state your name, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Angela Amaral. I'm trying to figure out the guest thing still. I would like to inquire if it has been explained to the property owner that the county is currently going through the general plan process, and advise him of any potential rezoning options for compatibility with his vision of the property. I would hope that he has the same option to request a rezone as any other resident can right now at no cost during the general plan and local area plan update. Thank you.
Thank you. And no other hands, so I'm going to go ahead and close public comment, bring it back to the board.
Yeah. Well, I am glad to see that you have moved your dogs and moved the kennels and are working towards coming into compliance, and that this property will be returning to a commercial space. Yes. It would be helpful, as you've heard from the community, though not necessary, that the fence come down. So that is a more welcoming place, but that is not something that we can dictate today. And you know, the day that I pulled over on my phone, I was not looking for any argument at all. So I apologize if it escalated, but that, you know, that is the Caltrans Rideway, and people are allowed to park there and allowed to be there. So I hope that you can see that too, that is a public place to be. But I would like to see that we move this violation along. He's made significant progress. I don't see why we need to grant an extension. If we can get this done in the 22 days, that would be great, because we are going into our summer season where we will likely have renters for your commercial space coming up to view the property, and I think you might be more successful in having renters. It is an important and very valuable place for commercial, and we have so little in the community, so it's important.
Any other board comment? Go ahead, Supervisor.
I think because of the health issues that he has, and I think that he has made huge efforts to comply, and he's had some operations which has set him back. I would prefer to go with what Supervisor Sabatier had proposed, which would be the 22 days plus 30 days.
Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, I appreciate Mr. Beltramo answering the question. And I think that we're all going to make an assumption that while under oath that he has moved out with his statements. Obviously, if you find out differently, that's a different situation. If the only thing that's left is a metal box, and I don't even want to speak about it, but the fence isn't moving as far as I'm concerned. I don't, he said until further notice. What's the difference between 22 days and 52 days if it's just a metal box when the issue is obviously not just a metal box? So I think that you've provided your input, that your discretion would allow for an extension of 30 days. And so I would be in support of the 52.
I'm sorry, 52 days just to move the container?
He only used 7 of his 30 days. It's a 30-day violation. Then it's allowed a 30-day extension. And so that's how I got to 52.
But it's only moving the container.
Well, he's putting stuff in it, he stated.
Is it all empty or is it?
No.
Hey, hang on, do we want to, I can't, unless
It's
we
fine.
reopen.
It just seems like a long time for just the last part of the movement because he's made significant progress with everything else. And so I would.
He had stated that he was moving stuff, his stuff that he had there still, into the container, which was going to take him a little while. He's just had a surgery, a major surgery. 5 surgeries.
Yeah, sir, it's in front of the board right now. Thank you. No, we are deliberating, so go ahead.
And I just, health issues, poverty issues, like to me that those things don't matter. It's how you impact it's how you impact the community and what's our code say and are we treating him just like we treat everyone else?
That's right.
And so that's why I'm offering and saying I would be more in favor of the 52.
Can we compromise and go with 45 days? I mean, I just throw that out.
I'm good with 45 days.
I'd go with that. Can you do that?
It sounds like, okay, so I think we're ready for action. I think we're ready for action.
Okay, what's the motion?
So your board can move to uphold a notice of violation and notice of nuisance in order to abate and direct the property owner to voluntarily cease residential occupancy of the structure, cease the current business use within 45 days, and to authorize staff to abate the nuisance if it is not voluntarily abated, and that all associated costs of the abatement become a charge against the property and placed on the tax rolls as a special assessment.
And does that include the inspections that you're going to have to do?
I mean, they have to be able to tell that all the violations are.
Okay.
We do need to conduct a final inspection. That's not going to incur any cost because if he corrects it in the period that's provided.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 5-0. Thank you, and thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead and call the lunch break until 1:10. Is that okay with the board? All right. All right, I'm going to call our meeting back to order from lunch break, and we're going to move on to our 6.11 item. It was a 1 o'clock public hearing, consideration of ordinance to amend Chapter 21, Article 27 of the Lake County Code regarding commercial cannabis regulations. This had been continued from March 10th and April 7th, 2026. And at this point, we're going to consider a request for a continuance, which was actually proposed by our board because of other critical things we've got time-wise and closed today. So, did you want to state
Mary
anything?
Turner, Community Development Director. I'm just here to say hi.
Okay.
Wait
Sure.
for your decision.
All right. Was there any further discussion from the board? Not seeing any. I'll open it up to the public for any comments on just whether or not we're continuing this item today. Not seeing any in the room. Is there anyone online? Okay, I'll close public comment. So iPhone user, this, you can comment, please keep it specific to just whether or not we're going to continue this today. Go ahead and state your name. You'll have 3 minutes.
Skylayla, Pillsbury Family Farms. And I believe that if you guys were to continue it, there should have been a level of transparency on your board's end in the memo that you guys were requesting it and not CDD. With that said, that does leave it to question, are you guys actually continuing this item or is she? Again, we the public would like more transparency on these items. Thank you.
Thank you, Sky. Was there any other comment? And just to be clear, the request for continuance came from the Board of Supervisors, not from CDD, because we've got interviews to do today, and that's going to take a lot of time. So any further comment from the board?
I have just one little tiny quick. Did you say you sent me the red line version of this?
I sent you a red line version of Article 27, which
Okay.
will also be posted when we post for the new agenda.
Okay, I don't see it in here, but
I wasn't sure it would transmit because it's so big, so I also have a hard copy version available. It went through interoffice mail yesterday.
Okay.
I'll chase it down and make sure you get it.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
So do we need a motion on that? Go ahead, Supervisor.
I guess just to make the comment, because it's funny, the public comment kind of matched the conversation I just had with Director Turner. If the board does make decisions like that, it would be good in the future, because it seems to land on our directors because their names are on the memo. And so if we can write in there that we've made a decision, because we struggled finding a date and time last week to get a special meeting, and that's the reason why we had to drop off some stuff in order to fit in the interviews rather than doing a special meeting. So there's a good reason why we're doing that, but I do agree that if we are changing the action, it would be nice if our name could be on there. That way our directors don't have to receive comments that would be so much easier to answer if it was on the memo.
I'm in favor of that.
I agree.
Okay. Do we need specific motion for?
If we could continue this also, please, to June 2nd at 1 p.m.
Okay.
So since with this being a public hearing, it would be a continuance, a motion to approve the continuance of this item, public hearing, to June 2, 2026 at 1 p.m., as the Director Turner stated.
So moved.
So I have a motion
Second?
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 5-0. We'll see you in June.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to move into our closed session because we have a time specific at 1:05. And I'll go ahead and read off all of the closed session. 8.1, 1:05 p.m., public employee appointment pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1. That's interviews for Health Services Director and appointment of Health Services Director. 8.2, I'll read it off, but we're going to continue that to June 2nd, I believe. And that was Public Health Employee Evaluation for Social Services Director. So we won't be discussing that today. That'll be June 2nd. And then 8.3, Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release. And then 8.4, Conference with Legal Counsel for existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1. That's the 276 Ranch LLC versus County of Lake and others. 8.5, Conference with Legal Counsel, Significant Exposure to Litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2 and E1, 5 potential cases. And then finally, 8.6, Conference with Labor Negotiator, Conference with Labor Negotiator A, Chief Negotiator Susan Parker, County Negotiators Jay Salone, Stephen Carter, Casey Moreno, Pam Samick, and Diana Rico, and B, Employee Organization Deputy County Counsel. So we'll go into closed session now, and we will be returning to an open session at a time unknown currently. All right, I'm going to reopen we're coming back in from closed session. Is there anything to report from closed?
Do we have to be on or no?
We're on, we're live. I already confirmed.
No action taken.
Okay. All right, thank you. Then we're going to move on to our remaining Open sessions, we're going to call item 6.12. This is our 2 p.m. item. Proposed findings of fact and decision in the matter of the assessment appeal of Myers Storage LLC, application number 15-2024. County Council, are we going to start with you?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So coming out of your board's, essentially your board's statement of intended decision and during the April 21, 2026 hearing and pursuant to board direction, my office has prepared the attached findings of fact and decision that reflects your board's decision. Just if the findings of fact are acceptable to your board, then my office's recommendation would be to take the 2 motions as outlined. Move to approve the findings of fact and move to grant the appeal.
Okay. Do we have any questions from board members at this point? 6.12. I'll have to open it to public comment, I believe. What was that? Is there anyone in the room for public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board.
I'd like to approve the findings of fact and decision and authorize the chair to sign and move to grant the assessment appeal to application 15.20. You want me to start over?
Yeah, and if the request here, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
would
go
be
ahead.
To have 2 separate motions.
Two separate motions? Okay. I'll start over since I didn't have my mic on. I move to approve the findings of fact and decision and authorize the chair to sign.
Okay, I have a motion on item A.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. That motion passes 3-2. Go ahead, Supervisor Owen.
I move to grant the assessment appeal, application number 15.2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
That motion carries 3-2. And I believe that concludes that item. Thank you for being available. And we're going to move on to, I'm going to make a request that we forego reports this week. And is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. That's decided. Now I'm going to move on to item 5.2, which was a pulled item. I'll read it out. Adopt a resolution to establish a $100 charge. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I have reached out to the auditor controller and have no response yet. So I would recommend that you take up 5.7. Lars is on the Zoom to speak to this.
I can do that. I'll move on to item 5.7, and that is waive competitive bidding for the purchase of hot mix asphalt for 2026 road maintenance projects. And we have Director Ewing.
All right, good evening. Lars Ewing, Public Works Director. What your board is considering this evening is waiving competitive bidding for the purchase of hot mix asphalt. Annually, your board is aware that Public Works does a number of work, a lot of work on roads. Requires asphalt. In this case, we're doing chip seal or pavement preservation work. The preparation for chip seal requires a good amount of asphalt, and typically we haul the asphalt with county crews, county trucks. There's one batch plant in Lake County that really can provide asphalt for our crews to haul. It's a huge benefit to the county for us to haul. It saves a lot of money, a lot of time, and so we're asking for the waiving of competitive bidding to use Granite for the acquisition of the asphalt. The reason that it's there, the reason that we need to waive competitive bidding is the county code requires anything that is over $60,000 to be either put out to bid or in certain circumstances, competitive bidding can be waived. In this case, the request is to waive competitive bidding because it is not in the public's interest I have a list. I believe the reason it was pulled is that we did not provide the information about the roads that would be chip sealed. I can screen share and show that list if your board would like.
Does the board want to see that list? Go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, the reason I asked to pull this is, the list itself, and I don't know what conversation occurred. I know I spoke with County Council and with Director Ewing yesterday. Typically, we get to waive the competitive bidding that's attached to a contract, attached to a purchase order, attached to an invoice. Here, I felt uncomfortable with basically waiving the competitive bidding on like a blank check for, I don't even know specifics of the 2026 road maintenance project. So I know it's being offered to show us roads, but I feel like a potential cost, or I don't know, it just something's missing compared to the usual format that we do this. I just like last week, I want to provide the tool, but I also don't want to provide a blank check without really understanding what I'm saying yes to. And so County Council, not sure if you are able to weigh in as far as what is the most appropriate way to move forward.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So with those concerns in mind, perhaps Director Ewing can provide, he alluded to possibly showing some as a shared document up on the screen, whatever documents you would have in support of the exemption that's being relied upon. And also if he has a copy that can be posted on the video of the purchase order itself, which will be in keeping with how the board approves certain purchase orders with the exemption. I think that may help.
Okay. I think part of the concern here, I'm happy to share the list of roads, happy to share our estimate for each of the roads that we expect to be over the limit. But when we're waiving competitive bidding, when we're asking to waive competitive bidding, it implies that we haven't yet gone out to ask, right? I mean, it would seem odd for me to come to your board to say, please waive competitive bidding and here's the invoice. That would be me going way in advance of how, in my opinion, of what would be appropriate. So, forgive me if I'm incorrect here, but the waiving of competitive bidding is you don't need to go out to bid. Otherwise, I would have had to have gone out to bid to a competitive bid already, and we have not yet done that.
So this,
if your board would like, I can share. I'll share the list of roads that are included in the 2026 chip seal. Very, very simple list. I do have a separate spreadsheet that shows.
Director Ewing, can you hang on one second? We're going to turn our screen so we can see it.
Okay. And I'll just leave this. I'll leave this here, and I'll remain silent to answer any questions.
Yeah. So my question, Director Ewing, so with this request, these would be for stuff that we've already budgeted for this
correct
current budget.
We budgeted not every single road shown here is going to require the waiving of competitive bidding. But I think for simplicity, it makes sense that the roads shown here for work to be done this calendar year, waiving competitive bidding to buy asphalt to do preparatory work for chip seal. I also have a separate spreadsheet that shows the anticipated amount and estimated costs of asphalt for these roads, which I would be happy to share.
Would anyone like to see that list?
I would much prefer seeing the cost list, because I'll make my argument that I've never seen the waiving of the bidding by itself. It's always been applied in a way of, here is a contract, we did not go out to bid, we would like you to waive the bidding. If we don't waive the competitive bidding, then the contract can't be approved. It's never been a preemptive waiving of the bidding, then we go out and do it. If you attach the costs that you can show us, then I would say then we're waiving the bidding process and we're approving these costs that would be coming down the pike.
So Director, you say you had that list?
Yeah, yeah. So this spreadsheet shows the estimates, oh, bear with me, for the different roads.
And I take it the ones that are highlighted are the ones that are above that would require.
Exactly. Yeah, these are the highlights are the ones that are over $60,000 that would exceed it goes into what's called the informal bidding process. So I if this is different than what's done in the past, it very well maybe, but it seemed odd to me to go forward with prior to the board waiving of competitive bidding. It would just seem odd for me to reach out to anybody individually to get any quotes.
And I understand your logic. And just a quick question, because obviously things go up and down, especially in oil prices these days. Because there's some that are in there that are below the threshold, if we say maximum not to exceed $852,000 in our approval of waiving the bidding, would you feel comfortable with that?
To be quite honest, no, I wouldn't, and the reason for that, and I'll stop the share, and that is because as we go and do work on the entire list of roads, and I'll show that again, we may come up, we may find it unanticipated circumstances that requires more asphalt, and so it allows us the ability, if we say 852,000 not to exceed, it doesn't allow us to pivot and do work on some of these other roads. So I think by limiting it to the roads that are shown here, to me that would seem reasonable. But if your board does choose, and I'll stop the share and go back to the spreadsheet, if your board would prefer, bear with me. As an option, certainly we could we could limit it to this, and then likely any of the projects that we're addressing would probably be under the threshold of $60,000, and we wouldn't have an issue. So all said and done, it probably would not be problematic to limit it to this $852,000.
So you would be comfortable if we said waive the competitive bidding for a maximum not to exceed 852?
Yeah, I think that would be fine.
And I would be comfortable with that.
Okay.
Now I'm applying the waiving of a bidding to a very specific request.
Okay, and so no question now, Supervisor.
I was just clarifying as I read your request, Mr. Ewing, it was basically that you were saving the county money, both in time and material, by going this route because of the distances, et cetera, and the availability of the asphalt.
Yes, that's right. The waiving of bidding allows county road crews with county trucks to haul directly from the Granite Highway 175 quarry. If we were to either certainly pay for hauling even from Granite or from another contractor, or hauling ourselves from a different quarry, the prices would certainly exceed this. So
as well as having to either pay somebody else to haul it, and or you had mentioned quality issues if you had to haul it a distance.
Yes,
so it was
you're hauling
actually we were going to get more money, more miles for our buck by doing it this route, as I understood it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so, but even if we didn't limit it to the 852, you wouldn't be going over what's not already budgeted for which we budgeted
correct,
for the whole.
Yes, from a budget perspective, this is what I showed before. 852,000 that's the asphalt portion. There's oil costs. There are aggregate costs that for the overall chip seal project. So yes, the asphalt portion of this is budgeted for the overall pavement preservation project.
Okay. Any other questions from board members? At this point, I need to open it to the public. Is there anyone online, Johanna? No hands, and I don't see any hands that could be raised in the room, so I'll close public comment, bring it back to the board.
Can you give me the number again? 852?
852-463.
So I move to waive the competitive bidding for the purchase of a hot mix asphalt for 2026 road maintenance projects for a maximum not to exceed $852,463 to Granite, and allow the chair to sign, or whatever that's supposed to say.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Director Ewing.
Can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
And then if you needed to add on to that, you can just let us know, right?
Well, for any projects that are not extensions of the projects that I showed on the screen, they'd be standalone projects, and we would pursue those separately through my authority.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, CAO, do you have a suggestion on which one I go to?
Oh, yes, Chair, I do. 5.11.
Okay, we'll
Director Dillman Parsons is on Zoom.
Okay. I'm going to now call our 5.11 item. This is approve, amended, and restated joint exercise of powers agreement between Sutter, Nevada, Yuba, Colusa, and Lake counties, and the cities of Live Oak, Yuba City, and Colusa for the purpose of creating a regional housing authority, and authorize the chair to sign. And we have Director Dillman Parsons. Do you want to give us an update on this?
Yes. Good evening, Chair Rasmussen and Board. Rachel Dolman Parsons, Social Services Director. I'm sorry I needed to move this item off consent. Hopefully it'll be fast for you. As you're aware, Lake County Housing Commission is in the process of transferring to Regional Housing Authority, and your board's approval of this amended JPA is the next step in the process. The attachment to today's agenda included County Council's proposed revisions to the agreement. Those revisions only included the addition of member agency to the end of section 3 and 16. Upon further discussion with RHA, after this agenda item was added, we are requesting your board approve the agreement without County Council's proposed changes because it has already gone before other boards in the JPA as drafted, and approving a different version would cause delays. In discussing these amendments with County Council, they have asked me to ensure your board is aware that these amendments may result in some degree of ambiguity in designating Sutter County's restrictions on the authority's power, despite the provisions stating that said power are subject to the restrictions of any of the counties, i.e. member agencies. So I therefore respectfully request your board approve the agreement as amended, with the referenced member agency language removed from section 3 and 16, and authorize the chair to sign. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have questions from board members at this point? No? Okay. Open it to public. There's no hands in the room. None online. Close public comment. Bring it back to the board for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the amended and restated joint exercise of powers agreement between Sutter, Nevada, Yuba, Colusa, and Lake counties, and the cities of Live Oak, Yuba City, and Colusa for the purpose of creating a regional housing authority, and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
Hang on. County Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And it would be as amended.
Correct.
You said amended.
Yeah, I said
That would be the document itself, is an amended and restated document. But with the latest amendments coming up, what was posted in Legistar and Granicus, it would have to be as amended, reflecting Director Parsons' amendments.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
So moved in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 5-0. Thank you. All right, CAO 5.2 or 5.5?
5.5, please.
I'm going to go to 5.5. This is approved Board of Supervisors meeting minutes, March 3rd, 2026, and April 7th, 2026. And we'll go,
Can I provide?
yes, go ahead, please, Supervisor.
If you look down on 8.3,
On which one?
On the, March 3rd, 2026 meeting minutes on 8.3, it appears that Supervisor Crandall magically received 2 votes, where he said aye and nay, and I believe that his name should be scratched off of the aye.
I thought I got a free vote on that one.
It's right in the fence.
Good catch.
Okay. So that was one.
That's the only issue with
Okay.
the items that were proposed.
Okay, then I'll open it up to the public. Nobody in the room, nobody online. Bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Board of Supervisors meeting minutes for March 3rd, 2026 and April 7th, 2026 as amended.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries 5-0. And we're down to 5.2. So I'm going to call item 5.2. This is adopt a resolution to establish a $100 charge fund for the auditor controller county clerk's office. And do we have our auditor?
We do not, but I believe we can move forward with the small changes that are needed. And I defer to Supervisor Sabatier.
Supervisor, go ahead.
Yeah, just the last line, this resolution was passed at a regular meeting thereof on the blank day of, that should be changed to May 2026 by the following vote.
Okay. Any discussion? No? And no, there's nobody in the room. Is there anybody online? No? Close public comment, bring it back for action.
What was it, 5.2, offer the resolution as
Res-
amended.
As amended. Resolution was offered as amended.
Supervisor Owen?
Aye.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall?
Yes.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yes.
And Supervisor Rasmussen?
Aye. And that motion, or that passes 5-0. And I believe that concludes all items of the board agenda. So I'm going to go ahead and close our meeting at 6:33.